We're doing a stream. We're doing call-ins. You can call in the phone number, or you can call in the TikTok request. The phone line is now open. Do not disturb is off. Just formatting my screen to make it a little bit nicer to see everything. All that jazz. Folks, if you disagree with the prompt above my head, feel free to send in a guest request, or if you're on YouTube, feel free to call into the number. That would be welcome. This is a place to have a nice, fun debate. All that jazz. Let's move this over here. And then we're going to move the chat. Where is the chat? We're going to move the chat over here. Folks, if you think Donald Trump is looking out for the working class and you disagree with the prompt I have above my head, that things will actually be perfectly fine with Donald Trump. Actually, maybe things will be even better under Donald Trump than how it is currently. Feel free to call in or send a guest request. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to expand this window like this. Folks! If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. If you got any questions, feel free to send it in the chat. Monetization is on. Wow, there's an insert ad button on YouTube. I'm monetized now on YouTube, by the way. So that's fun. But folks, if you think Donald Trump is looking out for the regular guy or the regular woman, let me know. Ask some questions. I'll try to answer. You can call in or you can send in a guest request to TikTok Live. Open the multi-guest thing there so I can see it. And we're gonna go pull up the window and pull up the OBS and pull up the chat. And I have 2 chats now. All right. Everything is formatted correctly. Sharon Coleslaw says, better than Joe or Harris. I humbly disagree. I do disagree with that. I can elaborate. Why? We can have that conversation. You know, I'm not a big fan of tax cuts for the rich. On YouTube chat, somebody says, hola, hello. What does it say? Emanuele Oliveira. Ivan says, thoughts on the recent CEO incident? Well, I'm going to try to keep it clean, especially for the TikTok audience. You know what? All I can say is that if Bernie Sanders was president and Medicare for All was passed, that gentleman would be alive. Fathima says, hey, hello, Fathima. But, no, if Bernie Sanders passed Medicare for All and he was president, then the United CEO gentleman likely would be living today. 808 Ref says, how would it hurt us? Well, when he does his tax plan, which is increase taxes for 95% of the people and cut taxes on the top 5%, that's going to be more money for you to spend. When he does tariffs, which are inherently inflationary, that's going to make the things at the store more expensive. If he were to do the mass deportations that he's been promising, that's going to make food be more expensive because he's going to be increasing the demand for production, but then he's going to be cutting the supply by removing those who produce the goods. No, actually, he's lowering taxes and putting tariffs on imports. Show me. I have an analysis that looked at his tax plan that found it would raise taxes on 95% of the people and cut taxes for the top 5%. And yes, putting tariffs on imports is inherently inflationary. Ayo Kev says, you don't really know how tariffs work, do you? Ayo Kev, show me where I'm wrong. Jack Samuel says, can he come in? Oh, sorry guys, I just saw the guest request. My bad. I'll make sure I see the guest request thing. Jack Samuel, you're on.
Hi. So you're I'm gonna go on a limb here and say you're anti-Trump.
Yeah, not a fan.
Okay. So my question to you is, if it's so bad, why do you continue to, you know, stay within the United States? If he's this Marxist, kind of this mustache. If I've heard the argument that he reminds people of the the dude from Germany with the short mustache. So if he reminds you of that person, why do you continue to stay? Why don't you flee?
Well, I think calling him the mustache man and a Marxist is a bit contradictory. I don't really call him either. Um, and I live in America, was born in America. I care about my city. I care about even the local politics, not even just the national politics. And this is my home. You know what I'm saying? There's many people that have lived through even worse situations, and they stick around. But I don't think saying that the Trump presidency will be bad, or he has a bad record, is the same thing as saying, I'm going to run away from the United States of America.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you're not as extreme. I've come to realize right now that as others are. Those are things I've heard on this app, unfortunately. Um, my next question to you is, well, I have two questions. One question would be, I'm going to assume you voted for the Biden administration back in 21.
Yeah, in 2020, vote for Biden. 2024,
Okay.
voted for Harris. Yep.
So how did the Biden-Harris administration uh, positively affect the country as a whole? What was done within that 4 year span that helped us so much as a nation?
Yeah, so I think that having a National Labor Relations Board that was friendlier to unions, that actually made a fair playing field for labor organizing, is a really good thing, especially compared to the previous administration that was very pro-corporate. The Secretary of Labor under Donald Trump was actually the same judge that let Jeffrey Epstein get away with things. That's not really cool.
Well,
I think that having manufacturing grow 800,000 new manufacturing jobs is better than having manufacturing jobs decline 200,000 under Donald Trump. I think that actually the inflation did go down and we were performing better than all our G7 contemporaries, the rest of the developed world. I think that that's actually a good thing. I think that having an
what
infrastructure plan
about
is a good thing. I think having the CHIPS Act is a good
my,
thing. Yeah.
what about okay, sorry, I just wanted to stop you there. So you said you think inflation was, or went down and it was in an all-time low. So
No, I
how
didn't say
come
all time
my
low.
gas
I
tank
said it
was
was
cheaper
lower
to
than the
fill
rest
up
of the.
my
I said it was less than the developed world. You know, we have to compare with the present.
Yeah, but
Obviously,
I mean,
every single thing,
again,
every single
uh,
time you look in the future, it's got like prices are going to be higher than it was in the past. Like under Donald Trump, it's not like
un,
every single
un,
product is going to be the same price it was in 2016. You know, that's just not how inflation works.
yeah, but again, we kind of saw a skyrocket because first day in office, he closed the pipeline
No, that's not how it
for
works. That's not how it works.
gas, and even these people,
Do you wait? Do you
these
genuinely
people,
believe
these
that
well, these
closing
people who own these
one
barrels.
Keystone? Wait, hold on. Do you think genuinely closing the one pipeline, the Keystone pipeline, was the reason that inflation across the entire world skyrocketed?
No, 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 no. I'm talking about within America, and I don't think that was the sole cause to what we saw
Uh huh.
in gas prices jumping up. I think it was a multitude of things of our tax dollars being sent to Ukraine, to foreign
No, I don't.
countries, and stuff like that.
If that was the
Another point
case,
I wanted to
wait,
bring.
hold on.
Uh, uh,
If that was the case, though, if like spending on Ukraine in particular is the reason that inflation occurred, then why did inflation occur in 2021 when the Ukraine war didn't begin at that point? It started in 2022.
because
Yeah.
Donald Trump, the start of 22 is when, uh, was it start of 21 or 22 when Biden got inaugurated?
21.
Okay, 21. So again, when the war started, Trump refused to send all like as much money as Biden did,
Well, that's not
and
true.
you've heard
Wait.
Americans
Hold on.
complain.
You're getting your dates wrong, real quick.
Wh-
Donald Trump left office in January 2021. Joe Biden became president in 2021. The war started in February
In
2022. And during Trump's presidency, he
okay,
did send weapons and aid to Ukraine.
even better. Biden sent millions and millions, not millions, billions of dollars over to Ukraine.
Yeah, sure,
I
but like,
believe
do
that
you
was
think that
a
us spending
small.
some $1 billion is like us spending a fraction of our yearly military budget is gonna skyrocket inflation in 2021?
I don't think that was. I really don't think that was an infraction. I'll pull up the number right now. It was billions of dollars. I mean, taxpayers were mad.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
what I'm trying to get at. Is
Yeah, but
yeah. If you could pull up the
even if
number
we
for me.
spent, So this is I don't know when exactly this date here was. Okay, this is December 2nd, 2024. We have provided approximately $61 billion in military assistance to Ukraine since Russia launched its invasion. So 61 billion.
So if this isn't
That's a fraction of what we spend on the military budget every single year.
if this doesn't add to the inflation that we saw under Joe Biden, can you explain what caused the inflation then?
Yeah. So there was a global supply chain crisis. There was also a lot of price gouging. You know, I saw this thing that was like half of all the inflation was caused by price gouging. Of course, Biden being the corporatist that he is not going to fundamentally change that. And we know Donald Trump, being the corporatist that he is also definitely not going to challenge corporate power, right? The entire world was dealing with inflation. Again, supply chain crisis, post-COVID economy. There was a lot of money. The economy was really hot, if you get what I'm saying. And, yeah, ultimately, during the peak of inflation, America was actually among the lowest in the developed world, even though it was still bad. And by this year, we saw wages surpassing inflation, and inflation was around like 3%. So I'm not saying that Biden is the perfect president, and I can get into my criticisms of him because there is numerous. But at the end of the day, at the macroeconomic level, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to wages, America was on the right track. And what Donald Trump has promised to do, real quick, every single policy Donald Trump is promising to do, everything he ran on, will make you pay more money and will be inflationary.
Okay, so you're saying, are you saying that under Trump, when he gets elected, I'm going to be having to pay more upfront than what I would have to been during this Biden administration?
If he got to do the policies that he's been promising to do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So my next question is, in terms of economics, who did a better job?
I mean,
For not
when it comes to,
I'm saying
we gotta
the
remember
average American.
Yeah, you gotta remember the situations,
For
right?
the average American.
The economy at the macroeconomic level, at the thing in the sort of the categories that Donald Trump would like brag about during his presidency, it was already in a positive situation when Obama left the White House. That doesn't mean Obama is. Oh my God, hold on, TikTok Live's acting up. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know what's going on with TikTok Live, but it was acting up a little bit. But anyway, so Donald Trump inherited a good economy. And the factors that he bragged about were things that were already looking good when Obama left office. There was 70-something months of jobs going down, unemployment going down under Obama. It continued under Donald Trump. There was manufacturing growth under Obama. It continued under Donald Trump until a certain point when it stagnated and then went down. And of course, we saw during COVID that it spiked down. Under Joe Biden, he inherited an economy in crisis. Under Joe Biden, he was told that the only way we're going to deal with something like inflation is to essentially go into another recession, is to see wages go down. And under Joe Biden, he refused to let that be the case and instead invested in America with things like the infrastructure bill, with things like the CHIPS Act, and policy that led to historic high public and private investments into construction and manufacturing, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, and we were able to avoid a straight-up recession. So, at the end of the Donald Trump administration, things were not good, and I would say overall, the things that he brags about, Robin Suda, thank you for the $5 on YouTube. The things that he brags about, specifically saying like, oh well, he had low unemployment. We had what else does he brag about? Do you remember what he bragged about during the Trump years? It's kind of blanking right now, but he would generally brag about the unemployment numbers. But again, factors like that go away when you destroy the social safety net. When you still have 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck. He blew up the deficit with his tax plan. You know what I'm saying?
Do you see where I'm coming? Yes, but do you see where I'm coming from as someone who just lived 4 years of a Biden administration where I had to pay outrageous numbers than what we are used to as American citizens over the counter?
I'm assuming you're mainly talking about like the gas prices and the food at the grocery store, right?
Gas, food, like everything.
So the thing is this, again, Joe Biden inherited an economy at crisis. He made sure that the situation, like inflation, did go down under Joe Biden. You recognize that inflation is no longer at its peak that it was at 2021 and 2022, right?
And can I bring up an example of
But you
this
recognize that
this?
it's better than 2022 right now.
Well, I would hope so. That was post COVID.
But do you know the numbers? Like you go to the grocery store and you see that inflation is no longer rising like it was in 2021 and 2022.
Yeah, why would it right now when you're trying to appeal to a voter base?
Why would it? Do you think that inflation is just you can turn it
As
up and on and down during an election
as soon
season?
as
And
soon
also,
as
again,
soon as soon as
no.
I as
Wait,
well,
hold on.
I'd like to talk too. I would like to talk
Wait,
too.
real quick. Like, I just want to clarify. Joe Biden did not press the no inflation button when election season rolled around. There were policies
I
that were
don't think there
passed.
is. I
There
really
was
don't think there is.
there was policies that were passed during the peak of inflation that then saw a decrease of inflation, that saw investments in the economy, that benefited us. Donald Trump did not have to deal with that, and when he had to deal with an economic crisis, he fucked up. He didn't do so well because we had a weak social safety net.
All right. So, for example, I don't know what are the gas prices wherever you are located per
I don't know off
gallon
the
right
top
now?
of my head. I don't know off the top of my head. I've seen things that are like
Okay.
$2. I've seen
Right
things
now,
that are $3. Okay.
yeah. Right now for me, it's around $2 to $3.
Okay.
Under Trump, I was paying a dollar something at the pump.
But do you think
Yes,
that
it
Joe
has.
Biden did a policy that caused that? And I would like to know the
Yes, I did.
policy.
And one of the policies was the pipeline in terms of gas, not
Where was
inflation.
the
You
pipeline
said on a
heading?
broad scale
Wait,
inflation.
where was the pipeline heading? And where was the
It
gas
was
going through
it
that
was
pipeline gonna
Alaska.
go? Yeah, where was the end of the pipeline? Where was it gonna go?
The end of the pipeline from Alaska.
Yeah, where was it being built to end up?
I'm pretty sure in Canada.
How is a pipeline that was you're saying was being built from Alaska and then being built in like the United States and then it's gonna end up in Canada?
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it was going to go through Canada. I'm not sure because it's landlocked.
Okay.
So
Well, just to be clear, that pipeline was going to go down to Texas. All that oil in that pipeline was to be exported, right? If the theory is that because that pipeline was not built, that oil production then went down, and that means there was less oil, there was just less gas being produced, therefore the prices went up under Biden, that's not true. Because oil production went up every single year under Biden. Oil production is as high as it's ever been. We're producing more gallons of oil per day than ever. So if the theory is that if we just produce more oil, then gas will go down or at least reach a price that you would be satisfied with, I don't think that theory is correct because we're already the biggest oil producers in the world.
okay, and again, I think that I mean in the Middle East too, they literally switched away from the American dollar. I don't know if you saw that,
I don't know what the
but
Middle East has to do with it, but we are literally. But do you recognize though that we are literally producing more oil than ever
yeah,
before?
but our major oil supply switched from the American dollar. You can look it up right now under Biden, and again, that's not good. That is not good at all. That is one
Okay,
of our main
but
sources of
again,
oil or in
we
gasoline.
are producing more oil than ever. Donald Trump, whenever he's asked a question about inflation, says drill baby drill. That's his only answer he goes to. You, when you were talking about Joe Biden's inflation, referenced the Keystone Pipeline not being built, which tells me that one of your concerns is that we're not producing enough oil. But we are producing more oil. We're producing a lot of oil. Fracking is going on under Biden. All that's different stuff. So, if the problem is oil production and we're reaching the oil production, then what actually is the problem in your view? Because we can recognize in this conversation that the problem isn't oil production.
For inflation or for gas prices?
Yeah, both.
For gas prices, I was referencing the Keystone pipeline. For inflation, obviously a pipeline isn't going to be the sole cause of
Okay, so let's focus on gas
everything.
prices. Let's focus on gas prices then.
Okay.
How is the Keystone Pipeline being closed when we're producing more oil than ever after the Keystone Pipeline was closed?
Yeah, so people who were entrepreneurs, you can look it up too, who were selling these barrels of oil. He said after Trump shot, I mean, not Trump, after Biden got into office, I think one of the first couple of days and shut down that pipeline, that the price of oil from a barrel went up from like 50 to $100 a barrel. That was crushing the middle class. He is crushing the middle class,
Okay,
and
I don't know who
again,
this entrepreneur
it's
is.
kind of
I
again,
don't know
it's
who's
kind
this
of
entrepreneur.
I'll look up his name right now. I have it in my computer. But again, there are people
So wait,
across the
what
country.
is his reasoning though for why the prices went up? So the pipeline was closed, and then suddenly oil prices went up. The pipeline where the
Correct,
oil
because the
was going to
pipeline
go to.
also helps us.
So the pipeline which wasn't finished in construction, which was going to go to Texas to be sold across the world and not to the American market, when that pipeline that wasn't finished was closed, that made oil more expensive.
That oil
Why?
was not for that oil was for us.
Why would
That
oil
oil
for us
wasn't
be
for
being sent to Texas for export? And also, again, why would prices then
because
go up when it was not finished in construction?
it was again Trump put that into place for what reason? Tell me that.
It was a business that did it. Donald Trump did not make the Keystone Pipeline bill. A business was building the pipeline, and it wasn't done yet.
Yeah, yeah. I know. What was the point? What was the point of
To more
that entire
conveniently
pipeline?
send the northern oil to the Gulf of Mexico to export across the world to sell more oil to
Okay,
other
thank you.
countries.
So if you're Biden, why would you shut that down? Why would you make it hard for your country to do that? Because that limits,
So
again, your resources of getting
how does
trade and
that
money of oil.
how does that though then affect our gas prices when that oil was not meant for the American market and the pipeline wasn't done yet? There's
Because
reasons to
A,
shut down
we
certain projects, like this Keystone Oil Pipeline was going through like a lot of Native American land, was bursting, was making accidents, was causing fires, was ruining water supplies. So it wasn't exactly like the cleanest, like it was a very dirty project. And in addition though, it wasn't done yet, and it was meant for export. It wasn't about American gas prices
again,
or increasing supply.
again, we can sit here and argue about the Keystone pipeline, but again, under Biden, we have seen Bidenomics sweep this country, and again, everything you're paying for has gotten worse.
Okay, but
It's the
but you
truth.
know,
So
you
that's the
specifically
point I
wanted to
wanted to
talk
make.
about. You
My
specifically
other
wanted
point
to
I
talk
wanted to
about.
make.
Wait, hold on, wait. You specifically wanted to talk about gas prices. So I'm locking in on gas prices. You bring up the Keystone Pipeline like it affects our gas prices. You said an entrepreneur said that when Biden shut down a
It
pipeline which
does.
wasn't
It does.
finished, that
It
was
affects our
wait,
gas
hold on.
prices. The the
You told
barrel.
me
The
though
price.
that when Biden shut down the Keystone Pipeline, which was a project meant to sell oil to other countries, not the American market, which wasn't even done with construction, but he stopped that project. Hold on. Can you hear me all right? TikTok seems to be acting up again. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so this project
Yeah, I can hear you.
that was not done yet, that was meant for foreign markets, when it was shut down, an entrepreneur is now claiming that gas prices went up 50% because of that pipeline. So do you recognize, though, that even without the Keystone Pipeline, we increased oil production in the United States and energy production as a whole?
Without the Keystone pipeline.
Yes, we did all that without the Keystone Pipeline.
Again, the energy. I will admit the energy did go up, but again, our trade with oil and gas and all that, that industry alone did not do good. Energy is the only thing I'd say under Biden that did way better
But
um,
well,
than
it's not
I
just
would think so. So
yeah, but I'm saying like oil production because you mentioned like how the oil industry is not doing well. Well, the oil industry has been increasing oil production every single year, every single month of Joe Biden's presidency. They've still been able to both produce oil in
so
America for the American
if
market
that's
and
true,
export the
if
oil.
that's true, do you blame? if that's true, do you blame Biden for rising gas prices
No.
under his presidency? I should know.
I don't really, because
So
based
who's
on
to
the
blame?
fact there was a whole
Who's to blame?
global supply chain crisis. The entire world was essentially everything was heated. The whole economy was heated up after the post-COVID mini recession that occurred, and there was a lot. If you want to blame someone and point fingers specifically, there was a hell of a lot of price gouging of corporations that claimed we were raising prices because of inflation or because of this, and we have to make things more expensive. We have to put more of a burden on the consumer. And there was research that was able to find that half of all of the inflation that occurred during like this inflation crisis that we saw 2 years ago was because of corporations being greedy. So yeah, I mainly blame the
So you're
corporate.
blaming it on corporations.
Yeah.
So rather than Biden, it's the corporations, the big people's fault.
Well, hey, you could find some blame of Biden. You know, you could say that Biden is president. He should arrest some motherfuckers for doing inflation at such a ridiculous level or something like that. You should make it illegal to do sort of price gouging in a way that, for your own pocket, that sacrifices the well-being of the rest of Americans. You know what I mean? Like, sure, I blame Biden for not being hard enough on these motherfuckers. But I definitely don't think Donald Trump is going to be harder. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is, like, economically speaking, the overall view of this is my life was easier to pay for stuff under Trump than the Biden presidency.
Yeah, Trump
And
inherited
that's
the
all I have to say
Obama
about
economy, and
that.
all the only economic policies Donald Trump did was deregulate, cut taxes, cut the social safety net, and then a economic crisis came about because of COVID, and we were not ready, and people suffered tremendously. You know what I'm saying? So like, if Donald Trump inherits a good economy, good on him. But I mean, that's not really things you need to praise Donald Trump for. I guess you can praise Obama for it, but I wouldn't even praise Obama because 60% of people were still living paycheck to paycheck, and they're still living that way today. That's a criticism I have of Biden.
I mean, I would hope I would hope my president, if he inherits a bad economy, can fix it. I mean, isn't that his
I
job?
mean, you could say that Biden did set the economy in the right track. You recognize that unemployment did go down. You recognize that wages have currently surpassed inflation. You recognize that there was a manufacturing boom, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, historic high public and private construction investments. So literally factories being built. This started under Biden.
Again,
there was an infrastructure plan.
We're nearing the end of a 4-year presidency, though, and it still hasn't got better. Like it's
yes,
gotten
it has,
better,
brother.
it hasn't gotten
I
better
gave you
to
the
point
metrics.
where I can say, okay, comfortably.
I understand. I understand that there are things that Biden could have done better. If he got to do Build Back Better or something.
It's like it's like the American people are like sheep. We're programmed to the price went from $3 a gallon to $2 a gallon, but really under Trump, I was paying under $2.
Yes, because it was good. The entire global economy was doing fine. It was stable, right?
Okay.
But then why are you not crediting like Obama or something? Right? I'm not saying you need to praise Obama, but if you're going to praise Trump, you can praise Obama for essentially the same economy.
When did I ever talk bad about Obama or anything? I'm not spreading anything on Obama either, or saying,
No, listen, I'm saying with Obama, the Donald Trump economy in like the early parts were just the Obama economy. It was just the Obama economy. He inherited a good economy. So if you're going to praise Trump like he did something, can you tell me what Donald Trump did to make the gas prices cheaper? And tell me what it was before he did that policy, and tell me
I'm not praising Trump. I am shaming Biden for everything that. Again, you would think the leader of the free world would be able to, you know.
I'm gonna put you on hold and go for you after. All right. All right. Go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. What I was saying is I'm not necessarily praising Trump, but what I'm doing is criticizing Biden because you'd think the leader of the free world would, be able to be better at,
Okay. So
managing the economy. Have
yeah,
you seen
I
the
mean,
pushback he's had
yes, I've seen the pushback, and I've
amongst
been one of
all
the people
Americans,
that
all
I've been a
both sides of
person
the
that
party?
has pushed back on Biden on certain policies. But when it comes to economic policies, yeah, you know what? Having us not go into a complete recession, having us not listen to like certain economists that are like saying, you know, Biden, if we want to recover the economy, we actually need to cut wages. Instead, saying no, we're gonna have wages go up. We're gonna have an infrastructure plan. We're gonna have manufacturing return to America. Like I think that that's a pretty decent approach. Now it could be better. He could have passed Build Back Better. But unfortunately, conservatives, like all Republicans and certain conservative Democrats, were like, no, we're not going to allow Build Back Better to be passed, right? So Biden didn't get everything he wanted. But I can say at least inflation is down from its peak. At least we handled it better at its peak than the rest of the developed world. And at least we're handling our current situation right now better than
Well,
the rest of the developed world.
again,
Now, I think there should be more. I want there to be a whole fucking New Deal or something, like Franklin Roosevelt. But on the macroeconomic level, I can say, yeah, Biden did do things to make the situation better. Donald Trump never had a situation that like Biden had to deal with, and all Donald Trump did was deregulate, cut the social safety net, and actually make handling crises worse by weakening the social safety net. So can you just tell me
and
though what
I
policies that Donald
again,
Trump did to make the economic situation that you are saying was good during his presidency?
first of all, I'd like to say that I speak when I say all this, I'm speaking for most of America due to the fact that Harris did not flip one single
That's
county
great.
in the
Can
voting
you
polls.
please tell
Also,
me any
all,
Donald Trump policies that he did that made the things that you were praising about his economy, like the low gas prices? What did he do?
again, I've told you this many a times. I'm not praising Trump on the economy. I am
Okay, sure.
criticizing Biden.
Let's remove the word praise. Since you were saying that the economy under Donald Trump was better because gas prices were lower, can you please tell me the policy that happened during the Trump administration that made gas prices the way it was in that point in time?
Yeah, I think he had better affairs over the world with foreign leaders. Um,
Better affairs.
the dollar was still being backed.
Okay.
Yeah, the affairs, our relationships with people in the Middle East were way better. We
Okay.
had deals with the American dollar. The American dollar was backed in the Middle East. Under Biden, they're not backing the dollar anymore, and our oil production is going down. That's why you're seeing all
That's
this.
not true. Again, oil production is up, and are you talking about like the strength of the dollar, just broadly?
No, no, no. Again, the dollar was the accepted currency. They were backed by the dollar, but China came in. I think it was in the summertime, around June, July. If I don't know if you want to check me on that, but around then, and they are no longer backing the American dollar. They are,
Okay,
and again, China.
so how does this make the gas prices lower under Trump?
Under Trump, what's it called? We had better affairs again with people in the Middle East. We have this whole Israel Gaza um, debate and stuff, and that's a whole different discussion. But again, world leaders do not like Biden, and that has made it worse because, again,
How does this affect the
Trump
gas
having these
prices,
were.
brother? World leaders didn't like Trump.
I'm
What
getting
are
to
we
that
pretending
again.
to?
You're not letting me talk again.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to continue to cope, you can do that. You'll see here
I'm
in the next
asking
four
for
years.
specific policies, brother. Tell me the policy that lowered the gas prices.
Again, I am explaining that to you, but every time I try to talk, you're just talking over me. I mean,
But
come on.
I'm going into the detail of the arguments you're making, and I'm wondering how it affects the gas prices. So you're
And
saying
I
that
am. And
Donald
you
Trump,
asked me how
you're
did
saying that Donald
instead of
Trump got
praising,
along
because
with
I'm not
world
praising.
leaders. Sure, sure. You're saying that Donald Trump got along with world leaders in the Middle East. I don't quite know what point you're trying to say when they're saying they back the dollar or this, that, or the other, but the dollar's strength has stayed pretty much the same. The dollar is actually stronger than a lot of other currencies right now. Our oil production, you were saying, was lower. It's not. It's up. And yeah, the price of the strength of the dollar is stable. It actually did go up and then stabilize. So yeah.
So again, it's not as much as, again, you have this narrative in your mind that I'm like glorifying Trump under that. He inherited a good economy. You're right about that. What
Here,
I'm
what if
more
we talk
upset
about the
with is
future
that
then?
Biden didn't.
What if we talk about the future then?
Okay.
Can you tell me the policies Donald Trump is pushing that will lower the price, let's just say now, of gas?
Gas prices. Yeah, he's gonna restart a project with that pipeline. I know
The
he's doing
pipe, okay, the pipeline,
th
okay.
this is a huge part of this is the tariffs that are going to cripple Canada's economy. He would love for I don't know what your stance on that too is.
So
Canada
he's
becoming a
gonna
51st state.
do.
Real quick, what's your stance on that? On him wanting Canada to be the 51st state?
Do you think he seriously wants to make Canada the 51st state?
I mean, he's told Justin Trudeau that, so that's what I'm saying. Anyway,
Canada's not gonna be a 51st state.
the pi I mean, if he imposes the tariffs, I think it could be because their economy is going to crash. But
So
anywho,
you're saying
um,
use tariffs as a method of conquest and land grabs?
I don't. He's doing it more for America than for just to what, cripple
So
their economy per se.
cripple their economy and annex them into the United States, make them a 51st state? Or do you think maybe he was just joking about the word 51st state? Right?
I don't really think he was joking.
Okay, so you think that Donald Trump genuinely wants to annex the country to our north?
No, I don't think he does. He's talked about these tariffs. He's
Yeah,
going to admit and
we could get into the tariffs, but you can recognize that he's not serious about having Canada become part of the United States of America. Okay, right? We can recognize that.
again, if their economy cripples, he might go for it.
He might annex the nation of Canada. Okay, I think that that's a little silly, but we can move beyond we can move beyond that, right? So first thing you've said was that he's going to restart the Keystone Pipeline. So we established that the Keystone Pipeline did not stop oil production from going up under Joe Biden, and we established that the Keystone Pipeline was simply just oil to be exported. It was going to Texas to be sent to the Gulf of Mexico to be more easily exported. Can you please explain to me
Okay, so
how building the Keystone Pipeline is going to lower gas prices?
yeah, I can. So if it makes it easier, if the Keystone Pipeline makes it so much easier to bring it to the Gulf of Mexico, why would Biden shut that down if he's for our country? Why wouldn't he make it easy for our country? That's my question.
So again, my question was about gas prices. It's going to go to the Gulf of Mexico to be sent overseas. So how is building a pipeline for gas to be exported outside America going to lower prices in America?
Again, all of it's not going outside of America. That's what you're hung up on. It's
So
not going
if it's
outside of America
being,
just to go outside of America.
we have
It's
a
going
lot
to
of
be
oil
used
being
within
exported.
America.
We're the biggest exporters in America. If you wanted it to be built for use in America, then why would it be being built in the Gulf of Mexico? But also, if oil production alone is the reason that gas prices will go down, then why is it that you're not satisfied with the gas prices when Joe Biden has record high oil production?
Because the gas prices suck.
So,
Like I
okay,
said,
wait, we're
I'm
recognizing
paying
though.
less
Wait,
as the
we can
consumer at the
recognize though
pump.
that just increasing production does not magically make the price go down, right?
Yes, it will in some capacity.
So why is the price not at a satisfactory level right now when Joe Biden has gas production like Donald Trump had? And in fact, higher than Donald Trump.
I actually really doubt that. I don't think
It
he had
is
higher
true.
than Donald
Here,
Trump in gas production,
20
if not even the same.
2019, Donald Trump's peak average annual crude oil production was 12,314 thousand barrels per day. In 2023, there was 12,935,000 barrels per day. So yes, 2023, the annual oil production was higher than Donald Trump's peak year of 2019.
And who's your source? Who's your source?
This is the U.S. Energy Information Administration. It's literally just data collection about oil production, okay? This has been the same way we've tracked it since way back. Okay, I can see data from the 1940s and 1950s and the 2000s. So we have surpassed Donald Trump's peak of oil production. Yet the oil prices are not at the level you want it to be. So why is it that a single pipeline for oil to be exported
You're just
easier?
coping, you're coping.
Can you actually make an argument? Thank you, member FB, for the donation. Can you actually make an argument, though? Because, oh, okay, you ran. Okay. This is what happens, folks. The dude left. This is what happens. This is what happens when you can't make an argument. You have to cope. You're actually coping. Member FB is now begging me to read his message. I just read your message. Read it for the class. Thank you for the money, buddy. So again, somebody tell me where that dude left off. There's a call-in number right here. Y'all on TikTok can send your guest request. Tell me why. Tell me if when gas prices are higher than it was under Donald Trump, that suddenly Donald Trump's just going to make more gas production and suddenly the price is going to go down. Tell me the magical economics that I'm actually missing that you guys understand. Logistical cost that is most of the cost of gas unless you're a country that produces buns. So logistical cost, I mean, again, this is... Okay, hold up. We got a call coming in. Hello, you're on. Hyper Viper, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to put you on hold for now and pull you in afterwards, all right?
Okay.
Unknown, you're on.
Would you consider LeBron the GOAT?
You know, I got to do more research into Jordan before I can make a definitive statement like that. You know what I'm saying?
I fucks with that. We're not done with the 90s.
Yep. Thank you. 509 area code, you're on.
Yeah. The last guy, man, words can't, no. It's just, what are your sources? Well, you listed them and he wouldn't want to even hear that.
Yeah, no, I listed
my question to you is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think there might be a little bit of a
My
delay.
question to you is, okay, so forget politics, forget politics, I don't care about Trump or Biden or Harris. Okay, how can we make our country better? What's our next step?
Well, I can say, and I encourage people to look into local politics because there are certain policies that you can do to even, that are very direct, that are very simple, but can have a massive impact on people in your community. So, for example, you could work to clear medical debt in your city. You can encourage your city council to work with a nonprofit, undo medical debt. They were formerly known as RIP medical debt. And for every single $1 that they receive, they will clear $100 worth of medical debt. So if your city is able to just give them just $1,000, maybe your city council members...
Tell me more about that.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to call you back because I think there's a big delay. 1 second, all right?
Okay.
Okay, wait, where is the phone number? All right, there it is. Hello.
This
Can you hear
is
me?
Jeff.
Can you hear me? Okay. Right. So undo medical debt. For every $1 they receive, they clear $100 worth of medical debt. So if they just receive $1,000 from your city, you could clear $100,000 worth of medical debt in your community. I think that's it.
How can I do that?
Yeah, well, you have to convince your city council. That's going to be a little bit tough, but the first step is to get to those meetings, get to know the people, make some statements during public statement, and that doesn't guarantee that they listen to you, but at least you're putting it out there in the world or in your city that, hey, this is possible, this is how we do it, and I encourage the city to look into it. Real quick, I'm pretty sure I responded to this, but I just want to make sure. Hyper Viper, thank you for the $20 donation. I appreciate it. But that's one of the first things. Or maybe you could even run for city council, and one of the things on your platform...
I was about to say the same thing to you. I feel like you should be, run for something.
Yeah, I mean, I have a history of running for something before, but, and I think I'll probably do it again.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. But I recommend that people in the audience that are more willing to do something like this go into their community as well and run on a platform. One of your policies would be clearing medical debt, and when they ask you how you do it, you say, well, every council member receives a paycheck. I'm going to donate my first, let's say, $1,000 paycheck completely to this cause, and I encourage the other members of the council to do the same, so we can clear, let's say you have you and then five, like a council of five, right? So you get $1,000, everybody gets $1,000. Yeah. I encourage the rest of the council to donate half of their paycheck to this, and say 4 other people, 500, 2,000, plus the 1,000 you put, your city can clear $300,000 worth of medical debt without raising tax on anybody, right? So I think that's a simple thing that, it's not simple because that requires convincing people and getting on the council and so on and so forth, but that's a thing people can look into. I think cities should look into making zoning laws easier to build things like multifamily housing. There should be more affordable housing. That'll make things cheaper for people. That's what I can think of.
All of those sound great, but like I live in Spokane, and most of Spokane is red, Republican, and they want to shoot the homeless rather than help them.
Yeah. No, I get that, but you know what? I feel like
trying to get into me trying to convince people in Spokane saying, hey, we should help them and we should reduce debt. Reduce debt? No, that's good. Again, most people, they would rather just have them shot.
I think you got to frame it in a way that benefits them. You got to ask them, how is your medical cost? Do you have any medical debt? And a lot of people do. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. So you talk with them and you say, you know what, you don't deserve that. And there's a simple policy fix. And this is how we do it.
Okay.
And we can do it without raising taxes.
I actually have. So, again, I'm from Washington State. I have free medical care because I'm poor. On paper. I've been teaching in South Korea. So, I make under 10 grand a year. Okay, so, all my medical stuff has been paid free and clear. And most of my family would say, communist.
Yeah.
You're getting all this shit for free. I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah. Those are good things. Poor people have a right to live as much as anybody else, and I'm glad that those programs exist. But reaching out to people in red cities are necessary, and I think it's possible when you frame it in a way that is talking about them. I know that might sound a little bit more self-serving, but even I don't agree with the fact that I'm getting all my healthcare for free. I go to the dentist for free. I've had several surgeries for free just because I make less money. I don't want to get a job here in America because then that will bump me into you make money now. Okay, now you have to have... exactly the problem. The problem with a lot of programs and the means testing is that because it's not, for example, universal, right? People will literally lose a lot of these services the moment they say they improve their standard of living or something like that. That's why universality is so important when it comes to healthcare policy.
So how do we fix that? Because, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I don't want to get a job. My parents are always trying to bug me and, hey, get a job. I'm like, I don't want to get a job because then I'll have to
sacrifice the
pay taxes. And Like when my mom says, "Hey, here's a job posting," and they have free health care and vision care, I'm like, yeah, I get that already because I'm very poor.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't necessarily speak on your situation, the next steps for your situation, but I would say for the nation, that's one of the reasons we got to adopt universal programs. You know, there's a lot of programs like
Why have we not done that?
Medicaid.
Every other country in the world
It's a
has
slow
done that.
process. It's a slow process. There's a lot of money in our system, and you know, I think like something like universal healthcare can be done, but it just takes a bit of time, and people just have to be the people. The people today have to be the ones to make it for the folks in the future. Hopefully, within our lifetimes, we can see it. You know.
Yeah, at what level though? So I feel like what you're saying before about going to like local level, like if we're talking about universal health care, that needs to be more of a national level.
Yeah, no, I get that. All I can really suggest for people is to get more involved in the local, because a lot of times it's local politics where the talent that comes in the future that actually gets certain policies done. The big policies, they start somewhere, and starting in the local is the best place. But, you know, it's those small changes that can have big impact, particularly the thing I pushed on medical debt. Things like making housing more affordable in the city. And people will be in a much better situation, I think, in the long term. If there are people today that are pushing
it's just
for
that it's a hard push.
things.
It's a hard push to try to get even the local to try to change.
100%. No, I know. I've interacted with local politicians.
That would take like a full-time, 100% job to try to convince most people.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't have it in me. I would rather go to Canada. I'd rather, I don't have that fight in me anymore.
No, I understand that. And if someone is in the personal feelings, in their personal decision, like they feel better about like going to a different country, then they can look into that process.
And I don't want to use that as an excuse. Again, as a Washingtonian, like again, I'm glad that I get all my health care for free because I'm poor. Yeah, if that were to change, okay, then I would change my situation. I would, go to Oregon or go to Canada or do something. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
In a way of self-interest, like I would go to what benefits me the most.
Yeah, I mean, you said you taught in South Korea and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're well traveled, and
yeah.
In that situation, if you have someone that's willing to travel like that, looking at places with universal health care or something like that, if that's one of the issues, is probably one of the moves. But I wish you for the best. And
I just don't want to give up on my country. I am an American. I would like to, I would like to help. I would like to help.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. And, I think the thing is that all politics has to be looked at as a pretty long-term process. And it takes a lot of build-up and build-up and build-up.
Like, I don't know how much you're familiar with education in America, but it's bad. Like, yeah. I do not want to teach here in America. Like, all my teacher friends in America, like, no, it's bad. It's bad dealing with the parents. It's bad dealing with the kids. It's just bad. I'm like, okay, I love to teach. Like, I have a passion for teaching. Yeah, if you don't want to learn, then I don't want to teach you.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to learn, man, I will give them my night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, in America, especially public education, nope.
Yeah, no, it's a tough situation for the teachers, but one of the things is for teachers here, this is one of the few industries where there is still a lot of presence of unions. So at least for teachers, they got that going for them. And they got better benefits than most average workers because of that. But, of course, teachers' pay could go up. You know, there's always work to be done. But, listen, I wish you the best. And
Okay.
I think in the long run, you'll do okay. All right?
I think so.
Yep. Best of luck. Thank you for your time, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Garbage Can Juice on the TikTok chat said something interesting. As long as it decimates blue voters, I'm good with it. I'm assuming saying Donald Trump's policy. Brother, it's not just going to be about blue voters, it's about you. All right. 907 area code. What's on your mind?
How's it going, man?
I'm good, brother.
Just listening to your show for a little bit. The last caller struck me intensely. That's a person just leeching off of their parents and society at large. Doesn't want to get a job because he would rather keep the free government benefits that everyone else subsidizes.
Well, I think it's more worth. I think it's more worth looking at the system. Wait, hold on. I think it's more worth looking at the system. This is a guy that, my understanding, has traveled across the world, taught in South Korea, and so on and so forth. He's been working.
He said his parents want him to get a job, and
I understand that. But he's also done other things, and now he's in America. Now he's in America, and he's in a system. Now he's in. Hold on, hey. Hold on. Yes, other countries. I don't know his entire life story, but I can say he's in America, and in America, we unfortunately have a situation where we have programs that are means tested and not universal, and encourage people to be in a situation. And
those programs are for people who can't work, not for people who don't want to work. It's just a leech.
It means, my friend. It means, my friends, when you have means testing.
I understand what means testing.
You limit programs. You limit programs to only benefit people in certain situations. You discourage people from moving up and improving their situation through work. You absolutely do. We've seen that.
Only degenerates.
So tell me what policies you support. Tell me what policies you support. Let's get into a policy discussion.
In that regard, or would you like to talk about the oil situation you were talking about?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about the oil situation.
Okay, cool. We can talk about oil too. So, with the guy who was on here before, he wasn't the best debater. You were using a red herring against him, talking about oil production as if that was the only thing that impacted oil costs. So first off, yeah, production does impact oil cost, absolutely, and we are producing right now on a global level more than we ever have. However, demand is also higher than it has ever been, partially because of the war in Ukraine, a war that did not break out during President Trump's term in office.
Yeah, and I'm assuming one of your arguments is that the reason that it broke out is because of Donald Trump, and that's working on hypotheticals. We can't really work in a hypothetical because that's a really big assumption. But yeah, oil demand can go up.
The Nord Stream pipeline was destroyed,
so
leading to higher energy costs across the board. Even electricity is higher.
Sure. So your argument is that oil demand is going up, so then it's a good thing that we're increasing oil supply then.
Of course.
Okay.
And not the Nord Stream pipeline, I'm sorry, what was the other pipeline? The
Keystone, we were debating earlier.
Yeah, the Keystone pipeline was providing cheap transportation of the oil. Pipelines don't produce any oil, they only transport it cheaply.
I understand that.
Because otherwise we have to use trucks.
And it would have been cheap transportation to be exported.
Correct, which would have helped drive down prices.
In America.
Globally. Because when you even a local decline of prices impacts the global energy market.
Okay, so a local decline of prices impacts the global energy market. So personally, I think we should probably focus a bit more of our oil into America, into making prices low here, because as you said, lowering locally can improve the situation globally. But it is profitable for a lot of these oil companies to export and export and export.
Right,
and
because
that's why we have a situation. Why?
There's a massive war going on.
Even before the war, it's very profitable to export. So we have a lot of that oil that we produce here. It's not like the Keystone pipeline was just being built because of the war. It was being built before the war with the intention to export that oil. But
it wasn't profitable. It wasn't profitable to export in 2019, and it wasn't profitable to export in. No, it wasn't. Not in 2019.
You don't think oil was being exported in 2019?
The price of oil dropped to $0.
Yeah, oil was still being exported. So wait, you're genuinely saying you're genuinely saying there's no oil export in 2019.
No, I didn't say that. I said in 2019
so if it was
being profitable.
if it was
so
being
there are
exported,
if it was being exported, when oil exports are not profitable.
So it was being exported. People were still making a profit. The oil companies still found it in their interest to export oil
for part of the year.
Right. So
of the year,
we can look at the U.S. oil exports by year.
Right. Go to right at the end of the year when COVID-19 hit, and oil exports dropped to nothing because they were all sitting in the ports.
All right, hold on. How do I zoom into this chart? Well, it was going.
There were literally every single port in America. If you ever went to one.
Well, yeah, of course. Wait, of course, in 2020. Wait, hold on. Of course, in 2020, it makes less sense to export oil because there is significantly less demand for oil. But
that was my only point. There are circumstances when.
Well, you said 2019. You said 2019, though.
Yeah, that was my mistake. That's flipping the tongue.
So yeah, in 2019, we were continuing to increase oil exports. In fact, we were very dramatically increasing oil exports. Actually, I actually didn't notice. We dramatically increased exports of oil literally when Trump was elected. This is not me saying like Trump's this, Trump's that, but like I'm looking at the chart and it was stable for the longest time.
Yeah, we were making so much money. Agreed.
Until Donald Trump, when we started exporting this oil, and it's continued to go up. So that's oil that could be going to the United States, could play a role in making gas cheaper here, because we would increase production and supply here and meet demand here. But instead, it's continuing, under Joe Biden as well, to be exported.
Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So is your contention that America should keep most of our oil for ourselves, if not all of it?
I think we should keep as much as we need to actually see a dramatic lower of prices. A dramatic lowering of prices. That should be the priority over exporting it to other countries.
Okay. So I agree with that to a certain extent. Everything in moderation. We could increase the amount of domestic use, and also that goes for all of our resources for the most part. I don't know if you know about this, but in the United States, there's a tricky game that goes on with our cattle and our meat. So, for instance, Florida is a massive producer of beef. We eat no Florida beef in Florida. In Florida, we eat California and Texas beef.
Yeah, I understand that the supply chain is a complicated thing, and we import this and export this. Even if we produce something, we still, import it, right? The supply chains are complicated, but I do find it just kind of wild. This is me discovering this for the first time because I actually looked up our exports. I did not realize how much it spiked when Donald Trump became president, the oil exports. And it really doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of trading.
It really doesn't surprise me that, like, 4 years after his that trend began, that then we have a situation where oil prices are up or gas prices are up.
Wait.
And
so
then,
you think exporting is the cause of the oil prices being so high?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But
so
I think it plays a dramatic factor when you have gas prices shoot up. After doing something
say in a list of
fairly
10, it's near
new.
the bottom.
Wait, hold on. I'm making an argument here. I think it's a big factor when you're doing something fairly unprecedented. Because we've always exported oil. Hold on, let me put someone on hold real quick. I'm going to bring you on after this caller. Right. So we always exported oil, but looking at this chart's going back to the 1800s. There's World War II over here, and we were exporting only 72,000 barrels of oil a year. Because I'm looking at an average. Is this year or monthly? No, this is year. So I think when you're exporting an unprecedentedly high amount of oil, and then suddenly there's a gas price crisis, but then still we're focusing so much of our oil on being exported, even when we do increase production. it might not be as dramatic as if we had the same percentage of oil being exported as literally just 5 years prior to Donald Trump, or at the beginning of the Obama term, or whatever. That oil production increase would have a much more dramatic effect at actually lowering prices based on the amount we're exporting.
Okay, that would make sense if we weren't in direct competition with OPEC.
Okay.
So America's presence, because we are such a massive producer of natural gas and oil, in fact, the world's largest single producer, we are able to keep OPEC from becoming a monopoly on a global scale.
Okay, that's fair.
The more we withdraw from the market on a global scale, the more we withdraw our exports, the more power we give to OPEC. And they're already trying to create their own dollar.
No, I get that. I understand that we need to compete with other countries. I think that that's a fair perspective.
So that's a strategic move, like on a country's level. So in that case, yes, we need to keep our exports up in order to keep competing with them and keeping them low. Because right now, the richest people on the planet are these Saudi and these Arab oil barons, basically.
Yeah.
Their wealth is, if you account for their land wealth, their wealth is valued in the trillions. And they're prevented from using that wealth on a global scale through military might and through the might of trade competition.
Yeah, no, I think there is a
pulling
role
America
that
out
has
of
to
global
play.
trade would
I'm
harm
not saying
the
we
world.
have to. I don't think we have to pull ourselves out of global trade, but I'm saying that we could potentially, let's go to like the peak of the Donald Trump presidency, right? There was oil exports of 1 million per day, pretty much, or 1 million. Is this per day or annually? I don't remember. Hold on, let me go to monthly real quick just to compare. Okay, they're talking about months. Okay, so this is annual, right? So in the end, or in the peak of Donald Trump's oil exporting, there was about 1 million barrels being exported. If we go ahead and do that and kept it that level, I think that we could probably work around that. But a thing I see here that I'm disagreeing with Biden's administration is that we continued the same trajectory of continuing oil exports as what's going on with Donald Trump. I'm looking at the previous decades, the entire 20th century. This is a dramatic increase in oil exports that I think a good amount of that oil could probably be dedicated towards the American market. And also, if we do generally want to move away from like the power that OPEC might have, I think it is time, in like not even just an environmental sense, but in a competitive sense, to look into other sources of energy so we're less oil dependent.
I mean, I'm fine with getting into nuclear, but as far as any of our other renewables that we have, such as solar and wind, they do not set carbon in any meaningful way in their 20-year lifespan. For instance, your average solar panel and your average wind turbine lasts about 20 years. The carbon needed to produce them does not offset the amount that they prevent, and also the supply of their energy is weak at best, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do nuclear in a safe manner, I have no problem with it. I know some people have complaints of it, but I'm more agnostic towards nuclear.
Yeah, no, so I used to live in south central Florida in an area on the coast, on the Treasure Coast, and there's a place called the Twin Reactor Nuclear Power Plant, and it provides massive amounts of cheap electricity to all of, central Florida. Yeah. And it's also like one of the most secure facilities you ever go to. And pro tip, there's good fishing around it too.
Really?
But yeah, absolutely, great fishing all around it.
Okay. That's cool.
But
that's cool. Yeah.
My point is, cheap electricity, never had a problem. In fact, America has a great track record with all of our nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
I see no reason why we shouldn't be investing into it more.
Yeah, I'm open to nuclear. I think that on a strategic level, we should definitely just be moving away from a dependence on oil, so we never have to deal with, say, like a Middle Eastern country or a group, not just the Middle Eastern countries, but like of like I don't know, maybe the Russians are involved since they're big oil producers. Just foreign countries in general
Right,
causing like
right.
an energy crisis with oil production. So I think we're kind of in agreement there. So that's good. That's actually
Yeah,
probably
no,
a
I think
decent
we
thing to end
agree
off
on
on.
energy for the most part.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, fair enough. I'd like to add one quick thing to the part about the electrical system.
yeah.
There's only one issue when you go to a primarily nuclear-based energy, is that more people will be using electricity for heating, and currently our electric grid cannot handle that.
Okay.
So I'm a line clearance arborist. Electric company pays my company to go up, and we cut trees that are near the transmission lines. Those are big, 6-inch thick cables that will reach out and touch you at 4 feet in distance and kill you. Just bare wires hanging in the sky, right? And their electrical grid would not be able to handle even the switch from all of our vehicles, from gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles. Our grid can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a multi-trillion-dollar project to update. It would be a multi-trillion-dollar project to update our nation's electrical grid.
Yeah. Well, I think with every challenge like that comes a lot of opportunities. We do it gradually over time. We potentially have many jobs for many years, updating, improving.
Advancement. I would say I disagree with the gradual bit, because technological advancements happen almost immediately when they do happen. For instance, like the fall away from using whale oil to crude oil from the earth, that was almost overnight. The change from using horses for transportation to the automobile, that happened over the course of about 10 years, and then horses were gone from New York City.
Yep. Well, that's
right?
also
So
a
when
fair
there are
point
those
there.
technological advances, yeah, fair enough.
That's a fair point. I think that maybe means there's a bit more urgency with having to improve our grid. And with the urgency, it might be a big investment, but every big investment comes with a lot of jobs created and a lot of wealth made as well. So I think that there's positives in every challenge. So we got a lot to look forward to. All right.
Yep.
Have a good day, brother. I appreciate your time.
Have a good night, man.
You too.
You too. Later.
744 area code or 774 area code. You're on.
Hey, can you hear me, dude?
I can hear you.
It's Nathan, right?
Yep.
All right. Let me go. First of all, the last guy and the guy before that was talking about that oil exports and stuff.
Yeah.
Here in the United States and in Canada, we can't use the oil that we pump out of the ground in Texas and in most parts of Canada. We ship those off overseas because it's called light oil.
Yeah.
Those are oils that we use for plastics, rubbers, all kinds of different manufacturing materials.
Yeah.
The reason why we get our oil from overseas because that's dark oil that we use for our vehicles.
Yeah.
So we do a trade. If you research, if you look it up, we buy more oil than a lot of other countries, dark oil for vehicles.
Yeah.
So all the oils that we get and that we pump out of the ground and we export it out, it's not just it's for other countries to turn into
a lot of
plastics
it, definitely,
and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to help the situation. And if we could pump oil out that we could use for vehicles, we couldn't hold on to it for very long.
Mm-hmm.
OPEC they're basically the boss.
Yeah.
Holding on to the oil for ourselves would actually increase the price of oil, of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't hold it and try to use it in the United States.
Hold on, one second. I'm going to put a person on hold real quick. Hello, I'll bring you on after the current caller. I'm going to put you on hold for now. All right, hello? Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah. So that's that's how that oil goes. And you can go, anybody on the Trump side or whatever side they want to do, they can go on and research the type of oils that we have, that we produce, that we pump out of the ground, and where it goes. Another thing about the beef, when Trump was president, and this, I hope you have some farmers on there that are listening, because when Trump was president, he made the USDA, he basically made farmers euthanize their cattle. And he, in turn, purchased about, I'd say around 70 to 90 tons of beef from Africa, from a country called Miko, from a company called Miko. He did that because a lot of the farmers wanted to raise they wanted to make more money off their beef. So instead of, so if you look that up, Miko, United States, Trump, or whatever you want to look at, he kind of did the farmers dirty. So the ag industry, they're pretty upset with Trump. Farmers in the dairy industry, farmers in the beef, farmers in all areas, they lost a ton of money, a lot of money. In the dairy industry alone, almost every dairyman lost close to $200,000 to $500,000 each year he was in office.
You know, I feel like I vaguely remember from the Trump years there was like a good amount of agriculture complaining about certain policy of his. You know what I'm saying? I vaguely remember. It's been a while though.
So with that, they already have a bad taste in their mouth, and now on top of that, he wants to remove the labor force.
Yep, that's a big one.
Removing the labor force.
Big one.
And imagine that all the products that you're growing, because you don't have a labor force to pick it, all your products start to decay, rot.
Yep.
So
and I understand that 40% of all the farm workers, so the people doing the picking of the crops, 40% are undocumented. So if he were to actually get his mass deportations done, that's going to be real bad for production.
Well, I mean, you know, my answer to all the people that have that fear is to stand up. And why not do a massive walk-off, a Latino walk-off on January 20th on Inauguration Day?
Yeah.
Let that be a thing. Let the country know that we need that Latinos are needed.
Yep,
because
100%.
I guarantee you that guy that you were on the phone with a minute ago, he won't go pick watermelons. He won't go out there and pick fruit.
Yeah, no, most, you know, there's a reason, partly because a lot of the undocumented folks are willing to work cheaper, but there's a reason why a lot of native-born citizens are not lining up to work in the fields. The jobs suck, and they don't pay well. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why that even conservative outlets are now warning of labor shortages if we were to go through with mass deportation.
There's a policy that's been around for a while now, where if you're undocumented and you're working in the fields, you're not allowed to make more than $14.32.
Wow.
You're not, but you have to do your taxes. So even though whatever you're using, they give you like a type of identification card or some way to document you, even if you're illegal.
Yeah.
And they force those undocumented workers working in the field, they have to pay their taxes.
Yep.
They pay their taxes when they go into a store and buy food. They pay their taxes when they go buy fuel.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, they're paying their taxes.
Yep. And I'm assuming there's payroll tax that normally is going to go to Social Security, but a lot of these people, unless they become documented citizens, are not even going to reap the benefits of those payroll taxes.
Well, and that's true. I mean, you've heard of people in our military being deported because they weren't because they were illegal.
Yep.
We had illegal people coming to America to join our military, and as soon as they got out, after their 4 years or 8 years or whatever, they got sent back to their country.
Yep.
After
Yep.
fighting in our wars, and or whatever we were doing overseas. So
Mm-hmm.
we have veterans who fought and defended this country, who got deported to Mexico, who got deported to overseas somewhere.
Yep.
And
it's insane.
There's
it's
things
insanity.
that we do. We use these people until we just get tired of seeing their faces.
Yep.
I think with a good immigration reform, we could do better. All these people.
That's my priority. I was going to say real quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I think there's a bit of a delay.
All these people coming to our country. Illegally.
Yeah.
They want to be citizens. What is the quickest way to make them citizens? Well, the one thing they want to do is go to work. All right, let's give them work visas. Let's put them to work out in the field. Let's have them help our farmers grow food, grow crops. You know that in the United States, the two major crops that we grow in the United States, one is soybean, and I'm thinking the other one is corn. And we export all that ag overseas. Not for us. That's not for us. We grow a little bit of certain type of crops that helps us as Americans, or the food that we consume. So we have to kind of like balance that out. We can't just mass deportation. No, it's to me it's a fool's errand, because all you're going to do is inflate the price of goods and foods.
And one of the things I'm really critical about the Democrats this election season is that because Biden is president and he did do record high deportations, they really didn't want to touch the immigration issue. During the Trump administration, we had a lot of Democrats calling out his bad immigration policy and defending the immigrants, whether they're undocumented, whether they're citizens, whatever. They were willing to fight for that community. But Democrats completely lost the fight. And instead, they framed it in a way that was like, I remember Kamala was asked, like, do you want to build a wall, even though you criticized the wall? And she's like, I want to follow the law. And it's like, this is why people were saying, like, they don't know what she genuinely believes in, because she changed her position to a more conservative position. And I think, honestly, defending immigrants is really fucking easy, for the simple fact is, if 40% of undocumented immigrants grow our food, and then you get rid of them, and you cut the supply, suddenly food's going to be more expensive. Do we want food to be more expensive? I don't think people want food to be more expensive. So we need people with the balls that are willing to defend these people and argue for these people. And in my view, what we should be working on is making our immigration system significantly more efficient, so that honestly, if you have a clean record and you're here to work, you should be able to come in to work. And doing a fast and efficient system would genuinely lower illegal immigration, because it would decrease the need to illegally come here. Because if you want to come here and you see, all right, you're going to have to wait here 10, 15, 20 years before you can become a citizen, well, your ass needs to work today. So you're going to come here illegally. So if we make our system more efficient, we would deal with the quote-unquote illegal immigration problem, and we would actually improve the lives of both new Americans and old Americans. We'd improve everybody's lives.
And the idea of denaturalizing citizens, that's also a crazy thing to...
That's psychotic.
For Steve Miller to say.
Yep.
I mean, these people have been here, they've been paying taxes, they're already citizens. Some are already collecting Social Security, they're already, they're drawing benefits. But they came here with the belief that they were going to become Americans. And they worked all their lives. And now you want to denaturalize them and send them to a country that they've forgotten?
100%.
And that goes to the same thing with the military, with these illegals that join the military to defend our country. It's we got to find a way to work with other countries and work with these people coming across the border. I mean, you see the president of Mexico. Donald Trump says he's going to mass deport everybody. She said, come back. He told those people, come back to Mexico. And if it wasn't for China, who needed the factories built in Mexico, now they're in Mexico's control. They're going to bolster up their economy. That country is looking at being one of the probably a bigger country than the United States by 2035. It's there's so much growth in that country right now. You even got people who were part of the cartel who said, "Forget it. I'm going to go ahead and open a factory up." They're going legit. Because there's more money in going legit than having to try to send stuff this way. So their economy will grow. It will. They're going to bolster up their economy. They're going to bolster up their people, and they're going to create one of the biggest labor forces that any country's ever seen. If once we mass deport everybody out, hey, she's already saying, come back. Take care of everybody.
No, in Mexico, what they're doing, they are genuinely on the right path. I mean, when AMLO became president, he was essentially doing a lot of the things like someone like Bernie Sanders was talking about. He was like, let's actually invest in the country. Let's build things here. Let's build infrastructure. Let's build railroads. And he left with sky-high approval. And then now his predecessor or his successor's in there, and she's already facing the challenge of dealing with Donald Trump and him being kind of erratic, and now he's talking about tariffs this. But honestly, whatever Donald Trump does, let's say he puts a bunch of tariffs on Mexico, Mexico's still going to need to produce things. They're going to increase production for their own stuff, and they're going to continue to work with the rest of the world. And you have countries like China right now that are probably looking at the situation in America, and they're thinking about, okay, this is how we can swing it in our advantage, So it's a unique situation. I will say I'm rooting for the Mexican people, and everybody. I want everybody across the world to do well, but I feel bad that in America we are blessed with being a country that attracts immigration, that ensures that we continue to have a young workforce, continuing to support our elderly, especially in terms of the social safety net. But unfortunately, we have people like Donald Trump and a lot of his supporters that look at these people. 80% of undocumented people have been here for 10 years. And they look at these people and they're like, oh yeah, these guys, they're the reason why life is tough. And they're not looking at their managers. They're not looking at the CEO of the companies that they work for that have gained so much in the last 40 years while regular working people struggled, and they direct their anger at the poorest people among us, the people working in the fields. It's insanity.
It's kind of America with Trump and as president. We're isolating America. We're isolating ourselves because if we start implementing these tariffs, Canada's going to trade with Mexico. Mexico's going to be trading with China and everybody else. And we're going to be stuck. I mean, you're looking at, Xi Jinping already said to stop importing products from the United States. And we imported a bunch of goods to China. So it's a matter of time before we're isolated, and price of food, price of fuel, price of everything can start going up. And
exactly.
We're going to have to deal with that for the next 4 years.
100% agree.
So,
and, a lot of the Trump supporters were calling for a lowering of the prices. They wanted to see the grocery store cheaper. They wanted to see the gas cheaper. And I said this at the beginning of the stream. Every single thing this man has promised is promising to make things more expensive, which is crazy to me that they want to support that. But, is what it is. And we gotta survive for the 4 years and hope or work within the Democrats to assume they actually get somebody in there that gives a fuck about working people. And I think if we get a decent pro-worker populist in charge of the Democratic Party or at the top of the ticket, then the next Republican's going to be fucked. because Donald Trump's going to screw up the economy. He's going to mess things up big. And if you get somebody
that's what Mitch
speaks
McConnell's thinking
populism,
too. Mitch McConnell's talking about that too. He's going to ruin the chances of another Republican becoming president for the next 10 years.
Oh, really?
If he
That's what Mitch is
ruins the
saying.
state, if he ruins the state of our country,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, all these people, all these young folk that believe that Trump is the best thing for America, they're going to flip their vote. They're going to flip them. And
Yeah,
maybe
no, that's
we just
the thing.
need that.
There is a lot of people that probably voted for Donald Trump this time around that aren't like the people in chat that are like, MAGA, we love Trump, this, that, or the other. The people that won Trump the election are just kind of, I was talking about this earlier today, the term moderate. I don't use the term moderate to describe a centrist. A centrist I'll describe as a centrist. A moderate is someone, in my view, that just really is not deeply ideological. They don't have much of a political ideology, but they feel things. And when they feel like things are not doing well, they're like, yeah, I'll go with the other guy. Or maybe there's somebody that comes along that they like a lot more, and they'll be like, yeah, I like this guy. Like the people that would vote for Obama in 2008 and 2012 and then vote for Trump in 2016, I feel like a lot of those people are moderates in the sense that they're not deeply political and they trusted the vibes of Obama or Trump more. And this time around, there was just a lot of people that were like, things are expensive and I want the other party. I blame the incumbent. And those are the people that I'm focused on trying to earn the trust and make them more consistent voters. And not so much the MAGA types. Because if someone's like in the cult of like, yes, Donald Trump is essentially the second coming, like, okay, they're far gone. But I'm interested in winning the people that are like, I do want things to be cheaper, and I want my wages to be higher, and I want the cost of housing to go down. Those are the people we can move and win back, in my view.
Well said, man. Well said.
Yep.
All right, I might let you go. You guys have fun, and hey, Latino walk off January 20th. Get it done. Bye, bro.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
All right.
All right, let's see what's going on in chat. Danny says you're not going to get that with a Democrat. Interesting. Am I supposed to get that with a Republican? Vincent says, I wouldn't call that moderate, just an uninformed voter. A moderate, in my view, is someone who's an educated voter who either wants a balance between the two or wants both right and left ideals. Well, I would describe someone that is just in the center of, say, like the political spectrum as a centrist, right? They are ideologically a centrist. I think someone that's moderate is almost like a blank slate in the sense they just want things to be better, and they can be convinced by someone on the right, and they can be convinced by someone on the left. The question then comes to the merit of the argument. Vincent also says, if there is no revenue, there would be no money for wages and salaries. CEOs would be forced to change things and they wouldn't get any money for themselves. Wheelie Bad says, we need illegals. He also says illegal immigrants need to be kept here illegally. Interesting. I think he might be being sarcastic. Chief Underachiever says, yes, we are. Less illegals, lower prices. Buns says tax credits for having rainbow solar panels. Leo says if our political system has become who can make groceries and gas cheaper, we're not really addressing the issues. Yeah, we're not really looking too deep into things these days. Joseph says Trump's going to be great. Oh, you can be optimistic, but Vincent says that this is a disingenuous conversation. The reason CEOs can abuse the system is because low-wage workers flooding the market and two people can afford it. Linda says, but yet Donald Trump continues to hire them, especially in. Buns says, if it's illegal, who do you think will regulate the inflow? Also, who are the people taking these people over? The worst people who will do with these people what they want to do if they can. I'm assuming the question is, who do you think regulates the inflow of illegal immigration? Or you're questioning what I want to see. Well, what I want to see is a situation where you can actually, on day one, go to a place to become a citizen, have your background checked, bring the necessary documents or whatever, and become a citizen on that day. That's what I want to see. We used to have a situation in this country where people would come in on Ellis Island. They would try to become citizens from Europe. and they would just become citizens. Unless they were sick and they were turned away, or whatever. It's a bit of an arbitrary, decision, but we overwhelmingly let people come into this country. That's good. That improved conditions in America, that made us a much more wealthy and prosperous country. We can have a bit more regulation. We can have a bit better background checks. But generally the goal should be having people come here legally. And that would decrease people trying to come here illegally because they would just say, well, we'll go through the regular process. Shock Rock says, you have a good head on your shoulders, Nathan. God bless. Thank you, Shock Rock. Much appreciated. If you want to subscribe, that would also be appreciated, but I appreciate your compliments. Vincent says, for the record, I was born and raised a diehard Democrat in deep blue state and city. Zender says, yes, he can lever a power a president can have. Willie says, any candidate have a plan to make illegals illegal. Unfortunately, the Democrats have essentially adopted Trump's 2016 position. Hopefully, since we lost, we can kind of move away from that. I think now is a good time to move away from that, but, Shockrock says, I subscribe, thank you. Leo says, thank you very much, Shockrock, I really appreciate that. Leo says, need to keep up with the independent media. True. Linda Klein says, perfect solution. Yeah, I mean, look, immigrants add to society. They benefit so much. They produce important goods, literally agriculture, so we can eat. And we need them here. And they are the reason why we're not in a situation that a lot of Europe is in or Asia is in, where they've reached a certain level of development, yet people are not immigrating to those countries, and they are now having situations where the elderly population is expanding and the social safety net is more overworked. In America, we have a constant flow of young workers that are continuing to support our social safety net. Billy Bob says, as long as immigrants are here legally, then they are okay. We should be making it so that people are more incentivized to come here through the legal process. Unfortunately, the current system incentivizes illegal immigration. Reasonable Guy says, we don't need them. We need law-abiding citizens. We absolutely need a flow of young workers to support our social safety net. Linda Klein says, immigration through Ellis Island is what created this country. Made it great. 100%! And we were essentially just letting literally anybody come through. That was in like the 1800s. We did not have the background checking, record keeping technology that we have today. Willie says, no one has talked of any solution to illegal immigration. No party wants legal immigrants. That's true. The party establishments have failed the immigrant community, and they're failing America in doing so. Vincent says, I think the problem is that there is no more compromise. The ideals have been converged too much, and it fractures both parties. Well, I think the thing is they're compromising too much. Democrats essentially ran on immigration. They were saying, we believe in the Republican bill. We supported a Republican-made bill. And that only encouraged Republicans to then say that that's not enough. That's not enough, and we need to go further to the right. So because Democrats are so willing to compromise, we actually sacrifice our own principles. All right. 302 area code, you're on. 302 area code.
Hi, sorry. Hi,
yeah.
Nathan?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man. I just came across your video. I just wanted to call in and say, I like what you're doing. It's important to talk about these things from both sides. As a Trump supporter myself, I respect you.
Yep. Much appreciated.
And, I want to hear your side of the story. How do you think Trump's presidency is going to hurt me? Because I did pretty well the first time around.
Well, if we look at the things that he's promising to do, the first thing that I can think of is his tax plan. There was an analysis that looked into it that found that it would raise tax on 95% of earners, cutting taxes for the top 5%. That would increase the deficit, but also increase the cost that people have to pay, which isn't very fun. There's the tariffs, which are also going to increase cost. Across-the-board tariffs are inherently inflationary, And there is, if he were to succeed in his promise to do mass deportations, he would be deporting 40% of all agriculture workers, and that would increase the cost of food because the demand for food would go up, but the supply the supply would go down because production would go down, and the crops would rot, and that would make food prices go up. So my main thing with Trump is he's either having policies that's directly going to increase the cost on you and the country as a whole, and he has programs or other policies that are just going to inadvertently increase costs, like the tariffs and the mass deportation.
No, see, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand where that's coming from. My only concern, about the cost of food, as you were just saying, I have definitely noticed, and, my family has felt the impact of the cost of food over the past 4 years.
Yep.
Going up from 21 to 2023, and I've kind of seen a little bit of a level off, at the end of the Biden-Harris campaign.
Yeah.
Could you, like you said, getting rid of 47, you said? 49%?
40%
of the agricultural.
Yep.
40%, yeah. And I come from a family of, farmers, and there's a lot of farmers on my side of the family, cattle, and, crops. So I feel that impact on a personal level.
Yep.
So over the past 4 years, with that rise of food, nobody can deny that, that didn't happen.
I don't deny that. I don't deny that the inflation happened. I will say, one of my big critiques about Biden is, when there's a crisis, you can't just do decent. You have to be great. That's the difference between Biden and, say, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt also came in when the economy was doing badly, like the worst it's ever been doing, and he used that as an opportunity to essentially do the New Deal. And he got to do a lot of the things that he wanted to do. He did see an economic recovery. And very importantly, the people felt that things were looking up. Biden ultimately, and maybe this is a communication thing, maybe it's also a failure of our media, the people did not feel, even when Biden was doing decent policies, the people did not feel more optimistic. And I understand why. Because even if you say on the macroeconomic level, there's things... Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yep.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was saying, even if things are looking good on the macroeconomic level, let's say, inflation is down and wages have surpassed it, nonetheless, people still feel things like, they look at the grocery store bill and they're like, this is high. If they have an HOA and the HOA is just randomly raising costs, they feel that, right? But, Biden doesn't have much influence on the HOA types. Hold on 1 second. Let me do something real quick. All right, there you go. So, yeah, like I was saying, but yes, the prices went up under Biden. There was a supply chain crisis. There was this sort of post-COVID economic situation where demand for things suddenly spiked. But we did do better than the rest of the G7, the rest of the developed world, and we are doing better than them now. And there are certain things where I can say, you know what, Joe Biden did an objectively good job, like in terms of the manufacturing industry. We saw an increase in manufacturing jobs, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We saw the CHIPS Act, which was a $50 billion investment into manufacturing. In general, with investments, both public and private, we've seen historic high investments into construction. I'm not talking about investments into the stock market. I'm talking about putting in money to build factories. And, one of the reasons I voted for Kamala was if she literally just did nothing and just kept things on track, we would see probably an explosion of industry in America. And I'm concerned now with Trump when he does things like tariffs, and you put tariffs on things like lumber, and you do mass deportations. Many undocumented people work in the construction industry. Suddenly you make building a house or a factory a much more expensive venture, and you kind of decrease the incentive to build factories in America. Especially when you do things like the trade war that Donald Trump's promising, that's going to hurt our exports. That's going to, if China stops all the U.S. Exports to China, that's going to hurt industry here. So, I don't know. We're in a much more unstable situation, but you can respond.
It's the tariffs and all that. I completely understand where people are coming from with that, because that can go very wrong. Yep. With all the, he's talking about. One thing I did not quite agree with with his campaigning was the replace income taxes with tariffs.
Yeah,
he said that multiple times. And I didn't quite understand that, so I was looking into it a bit. And the tariffs did pretty well between 2016 and 2020. But to go full scale and tariffing everybody, and like what he's talking about with Canada, 200% on certain items, like,
wow,
it's like that doesn't make sense for anybody. That's not good for anybody. But
100%.
What I'm worried the most about, with how this election went, was I live in Delaware.
Yeah.
And Delaware is a sanctuary state.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had like, I want to say probably an increase of 200,000, 250,000 unregistered, undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
And they're buying houses, they're moving in, they're I'm not going to say taking up space.
Yeah.
But they are taking up space, and in my state they're building, like, I want to say it's like a new neighborhood every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of that, the cause and effect of that whole situation is they did a whole reassessment, and I don't know if they only did this in Delaware, but I know they did it somewhere else too, some other places. But I'm just thinking about where I'm from.
Yep.
I'm not going to talk about something I don't understand in other states, but from where I'm from, they reassessed the property values.
Yeah.
Across the entire state in 2022. Between 2021 and 2023, I think is when they finished. 2024 is when they put out all the information.
Yeah.
So because of this massive flood of people that came in, they're taking up, housing, and
did the prices go up for housing?
State. Yeah, the property tax increased 500%.
Yep.
And
well, let me
because of the value.
Let me jump in there real quick.
Go right ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. The cost of housing is exploding where I'm from too. So I'm from Florida, right? And it's funny. Some people, I've heard some people complain about like immigrants saying like, oh, immigrants are going to raise the cost, and some of it makes sense in the sense that like if you say like increase in just people present in an area, that's increasing demand for things like housing, and if there's not enough supply, then that will be a problem. Now the thing is, where I'm from, in Florida, a lot of people are moving here, not necessarily immigrants, but other Americans, and as a result, we've seen an explosion of housing here, and honestly, mainly because this county is a place where a lot of people that let's say they made most of their lives and they're doing well in like places like New York or something, the snowbirds, and they come down here. And the thing is this, when it comes to the cost of living, that's a big priority of mine. We need to increase supply dramatically, and we just need to make more variety in the housings. When it comes to local politics, I talk about this all the time to the local politicians. We need more multi-family housing. We need more apartments. We gotta limit the suburbs, particularly in my city, in my view, because we have limited space. So with our limited space, we need taller buildings. We need it to be affordable. We need more multi-use zoning. So if there's like a place of business, there can be housing built above it, specifically apartments. And if we can increase supply on the local level, hopefully it's replicated across the nation, then I think we can actually see a lowering in prices. Instead, now we have a situation where like big investment companies are like buying up a bunch of these single family units, and they're trying to essentially make a whole market of permanent renters. You know what I'm saying? And it's a big concern. It's a big concern for sure.
My father always told me that renting is like credit card companies. It's, as long as they can keep you on the hook.
Yeah.
Because you're like that's Like, they gave you your bait, you took it, you're renting, and now you're stuck. We got stuck renting a god-awful townhouse for 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And renting's a nightmare right now. It's been a nightmare for a long time.
Yep.
And you know, I totally agree with you on the housing. You know, about building and building and building, because that's all I see. Is they're building these suburbs, and the homes cost $700,000.
Yep. Who are the suburbs for? You know, the suburbs aren't for us. It's for, at least in my area, these suburbs are for, frankly, rich New Yorkers that are coming in here.
Yep.
And you know, it's the poor people that have been here for a long time, and also immigrants that are not rich, that are being kept out. The working people are being kept out, no matter what your background is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's I like I said, as a Republican, because I don't like saying Trump supporter, Harris supporter. You know, it's like you're going to support your party, like no matter who it is, right?
Yeah.
So as a Republican, you know, I don't have an issue. I'm not a far right Republican. I don't have an issue with immigrants.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with immigrants, and I just have, I have the sense of, you know, the process. I respect the process. And go ahead. Sorry about that. I'm at work right now.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
You're good, man. I don't have much going on. I'm bored. Why not?
I mean, that's what this show is for. Just people to call in whenever they feel like.
Yeah. Where was I going?
You're a Republican, but you have no problem with immigrants and immigration.
Right.
Yep.
Right, because you know there's those people out there, and they're like, get them all out of here, you know.
Yep.
But it's that's not really good for anybody, because like you said, that's going to cost taxpayer dollars. That's going to cost a whole lot of time. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind right now.
No problem.
Going on here.
You're busy, yeah.
Yeah. But you know, that's my biggest thing about voting for Trump was, you know, because the illegal immigrants, it's like it's directly affected me. I'm not living in, like, you know, the perfect suburb.
Yeah.
You know, I live in a very multicultural neighborhood. You know, I'm one of very few white families, but you know, and I've been around I got Mexicans that I call uncle. I got black men that I call uncle. There's nothing that has to do with racism, so I don't want nobody in your comments saying I'm racist.
Yeah.
I just think that America first mentality is what we really needed for the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the thing is this, right? As we're talking, I think you are, as you said, you're not like a really far right Republican. You seem to have a decent head on your shoulders and a decent want for what you want to see with this country. And I agree.
I appreciate that.
You know, I don't really use the phrase like America first just because of the connotations that it usually comes with. But I agree. We need politicians that look out for Americans over, say, like the 1% and the corporate interest.
Right, that's all America. When I say America first, I mean all of America, not you know, the white people, not the rich people, everybody.
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up well off. You know, I grew up. We were on food stamps. I was born on the Navy base, and in Corpus Christi, Texas. Yep. And I've seen, you know, I've been poor, and I've been middle class. Yep. And both ways, you know, even the middle class needs help sometimes.
I think we really need to. You see, that's the thing. My whole thing, it really is about like just how we structure the economy. I'm not demanding a shift away from capitalism or whatever. What I want to see is an embrace of the economic viewpoint that expanded the middle class in the mid 20th century. This sort of New Deal politics, much more like Roosevelt, rather than the investor class first politics of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
You know, for much of the 20th century, stock buybacks were illegal. You know, now they're legal. Now we have a tax code which is written to like almost exclusively benefit the top 1%, and we see corporate profits skyrocket. We see the stock market do extremely well. We see CEO pay do well. And we used to have a situation where if you worked for a corporation, the corporation was doing good and the boss was doing good, you were also probably doing good. But now people aren't able to join in unions anymore. In a lot of situations, people aren't able to organize and negotiate, and we've seen CEO pay go up 1,000%. This was a statistics I saw recently. It went up like over 1,000%, and worker pay went up 18%, and this is since the 1970s.
Okay.
So, you know, that's my thing. It's like I don't care if someone's an immigrant or they were born here or whatever the situation is. We just got to do things we got to make decisions that benefit regular people more. So while I understand concerns about immigration for sure, when I look at policies like mass deportation, which is essentially promising to kick out 40% of the people that work in agriculture, it's a guaranteed increase in price of food. I'm like, that's a really bad decision. Americans are going to feel that in their wallets. And
and
you know,
that's what the whole drain the swamp movement and everything like that, and the whole all this like get everybody out, do this, like just restart, you know, that everyone's saying. Like, I agree with the idea of no deep state, like no deep state government. I agree with the fact that there should not be a shadow government. There shouldn't be people behind the people. Can pull the strings, so to speak.
We gotta get the money out of politics too. That's a big one. Massive one.
I agree 100% because these people that get into Congress, you know, they get into these cushiony jobs in D.C. and they stay there their entire lives and really don't do anything. Yeah. And that's on both sides of the room. You know, we see Republicans doing that and we see Democrats doing that.
100%. 100%.
So there definitely needs to be some adjustments made, and I'm not claiming to have all the answers, and I'm not claiming to be the one to, you know, solve all the issues.
Yeah.
But when it came time for this election, I weighed my options. I looked at both candidates equally. I wasn't just like a MAGA hat wearing, you know, thumb sucking brain dead, you know.
Yeah, you weren't part of the cult. You were just one of these people that weighed the options, and you felt like, let me try this side, and hopefully things get better, right? I'm assuming that's kind of the. Well, look, I mean, I hope that in 2026 and in 2028, as a member of the Democratic Party, like officially, and someone that's involved in Democratic Party politics, what I'm trying to do is create a party that can earn your support. You notice how the Democrats have like been palling around with so-called moderate Republicans like Liz Cheney, yet that did not shift statistically. That did not shift Republican voters whatsoever. I think the way you actually move people to your side is to communicate that you care about their situation and are gonna fight for them. Right. And what I want to see is a Democratic Party that can win people like you, that can convince people like you in conversation, in their ads, whatever, that, you know what, maybe I don't agree with them on every single issue, but this person's going to be the one to make it easier on my wallet, you know?
Right.
And
and as far as this previous election goes, like you said, easier on my wallet, I was doing better in 2016 to 2020 than I was 2020 to 24.
Yeah.
And that was just a big factor.
Yep.
That and, you know, Kamala the chameleon.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a person with a consistent. She's not consistent with her messaging. Look, I remember hearing in 2020 like Bernie Sanders is unelectable. Bernie Sanders is unelectable, and the thing is, one of the biggest issues I think with Kamala is when people are wondering, like regular normies. I'm not talking about like the people that look into the policy and do this and do that. Because if we were having a conversation like before the election of why you should vote for Kamala, why you shouldn't vote for Trump, whatever, I can give you the reasons. Like I voted for Kamala for the reasons, but with Kamala, right. I mean, when people ask what does she believe in, I've seen people laugh in like focus groups. They don't know what she believes in. If someone were to ask what Bernie Sanders believes in, whether they agree with Bernie on everything or not, they could say, well, Bernie Sanders, he's anti-corruption. He wants universal health care. He wants to raise taxes on rich people. You know, he wants more manufacturing jobs. They can say what he believes in because his beliefs, his policy prescriptions are tied to who he is. Someone like Kamala is not like that. And that's something the Democratic Party needs to work on.
And another thing about her, switching everything up, she caters her speeches to her audiences. And the thing that permanently turned me off of her was her saying her and her gun control speeches, and then going on the news and saying she has a gun and she has guns and she grew up with guns. She's comfortable with that. So her gun control speeches and the people she affiliated with, as far as gun control laws and the whole hell yes, we'll take your AK-47, your AR-15, all that stuff.
But that was more Beto's thing, not so much Kamala.
I know. But that whole I'm just bringing it in because it was kind of funny. But that whole thing about we're going to take your guns, gun control laws. I'm fully in favor of more stricter background checks. I'm fully in favor of red flags and all this stuff. It's so easy to get a gun in the States.
Yeah.
It is beyond easy. Like I buy guns, like as a collector, I buy historical rifles. Yeah. And I like handguns.
Yeah.
I can walk into a store and buy a handgun, and 15 minutes later I'm out the door.
Yep.
My background checks come back immediately. Like, yes, I have a clean record.
Yeah.
But, there are plenty of bad people out there who have clean records.
Yeah. No, definitely. So I think most Americans are pretty aligned on the gun issue. They want bad people to not have guns. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy that shot up Stoneman Douglas, he clearly had something wrong with him. He was he had a lot of delinquency in his record and was clearly like super mentally ill, came from bad background. And I think I think it's like 90-something% of people want to see more background checks. And also a high percentage of people are fine with things like red flag laws. Like if someone calls the cops on an abusive husband or something, that person probably should not have a gun too, and things like situational. Yeah, situational. It's situational for sure.
To the person.
Yep. And
but that's the problem with it is they want these blanket statements to cover everybody. They want these blanket, descriptions to cover everybody when it comes to the red flag laws. And there needs to be. I don't have a plan. I don't think I have a plan. I'm not going to say I do, but there needs to be more control for the illegal guns, the unregistered guns, the unmarked weapons, everything on the street, more so than the stuff coming out of the gun stores. But that being said, I do agree with stricter background checks.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, It's all about agreement. Ultimately, like, for example, if Kamala got to become president, I don't think she would pass every single gun regulation that she would maybe want to do personally, whatever she wants to do, because of, there's other people in government that, like, come in the way. She really just could not communicate an economic message or any message really. Like, she had better economic policies. There's research where people have been presented with the policies of each candidate, just the policies, and it was like 80% preferred Kamala's policies. But then when you ask the people who they are supporting, without giving the context of whose policies are whose, they'll come out like it'll be close, but then it will like be slightly leaning towards Trump. And that's kind of the story of this election. It was fairly close. Yeah, I understand about he won all the swing states, but then you look at the swing states, and they were super close. And overall, I think is like less than a 2% difference in the popular vote. Much of the swing states are less than a percent difference. It was a close election, but I genuinely do feel that sense of like, I don't know what she believes in, or I do know she made some promises before and have switched her positions, let's say on healthcare.
Yeah.
She said that she supported Medicare for all when it was a primary where many people were trying to be Bernie Sanders when Bernie Sanders was already in the race. Okay? It really didn't make much sense. Yeah. But then obviously Kamala, who comes from a more moderate or a centrist point of view, she doesn't believe in Medicare for all. So then people are like, well, your position changed. Why is that? My values haven't. Yeah, that's not really a satisfactory answer. But, yes, I think we can finish off with this because I'm probably going to end the stream soon. I hope that there can be a Democratic Party in the next 2 or 4 years that can earn people like you on their side. You know what I'm saying? I think you're a decent person, and it was a good conversation. But go ahead.
It's not about red or blue to me. It's about policy.
Yep.
And what I experienced personally.
Yep.
And, but the way I say that, people think I'm an independent, like, fuck you, government. I don't need government. Sorry for swearing. I don't know.
No problem. You can swear.
But, it's not, I don't think that it should be a every man for himself kind of country. But, like you said, a government that you can trust. We haven't had a government to trust in many, many, many years. And even when our country thought that we could trust our government, who knows what was going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So, in the state that we're in, I've, full closure, to close the conversation out. In the state that we're in, I thought that Trump would do good, and I'm hoping he does again, because I think he did pretty well his first time around. And like he said, after the 2020 election, he said, I have to go away for a little while, but I'll be back. And I think that meant something to him, because when he went into politics, did you happen to listen to the Joe Rogan interview?
I didn't listen fully to the Joe Rogan interview. I did see his income tax statement that he made on that interview. I will say this about Donald Trump. Like I said, every single policy that he's been pretty much promising this election is inflationary and won't really help the people. In his first term, he inherited a pretty stable economy. All he really did was cut the social safety net, cut taxes for the rich, increase the deficit, increase military spending, increase drone strikes, support the Saudis genociding Yemen. If we were to go into detail about his first presidency, I don't think he was a good president. But the problem, one of the big problems with Trump, Obama, Biden, is that they're not really dealing with the economic problems that are deep into this country, particularly the fact that we've seen the rich and the 1% and the CEOs have done extremely well, while the regular people have continued to struggle. Their wages are stagnant. 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck, both under Trump and under Biden. So it's just we need a real reformer in there. And we've been in this sort of period of mediocrity because everybody's been kind of tied to neoliberal economics being the norm. I will say I think we're moving away from that. Unfortunately, I think with Donald Trump, we're going to see a continuation of that for now, because in my opinion, his first term was sort of like George W. Bush with a spray tan. And now he's going to continue sort of those Bush-like policies, considering who he's putting in his cabinet too.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from with that prediction, and all that. We do have 4 years of, Trump policies and his ideas in place, to go off of. But I was saying a minute ago, at his speech right after the 2020 election, when he said he's got to go away for a while, but he'll be back, I think he really went to work on what he's going to do, really put his mind to it, and thought about, how these next 4 years are going to go. And I think he does have a plan. And the only way to find out if it's good or bad is to wait and see.
Hey, well, you know what? I respect the optimism. That I can say. But, hey, I appreciate your time, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yep. Leo, thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching. Arturo Gomez said, what's up, Chinese? Are you going to be deported as well? Yeah, go try to deport me. Yeah, deport American citizens. That's a good political strategy. Vincent says, I have more thoughts on the top. I don't know what the conversation was with Vincent. I saw a lot of his messages talking with some of the people in the chat, but Austin says, deleted my comments. Austin, I don't know who you are. Vincent saying something about Hillary, Leo, and they're talking. Austin says, Bernie needs to be in the president's cabinet, not the Oval Office. And Hillary, data specialist, Marine Corps. I don't know what's happening there about Hillary. Which Hillary were we talking about? She was pretty robotic. I think talking about Kamala there. A Joe repeat, completely different person, gave us hope like Obama did and is young. Oh, I'm assuming, I think Bobby might be more of a Kamala fan. Defending Kamala, probably. Let's start in the corner with Trump's presidency. Trump's presidency hurting you. I'm not possibly late to the stream, but that's not possible. It's not possible that Trump can have negative effects on the American people. I think that's a little silly. Seems like congressmen and senators do what they want and forget who they represent. Yep, that's a fact. That's a fact. All right, let's see what's at the lower part here. Lamau, what? Let me know what you think of Obama's 8 years president. He was kind of mediocre in my view. I mean, I think the Affordable Health Care Act was good. There was a massive improvement there. I'm glad that we extended people's ability to stay on their parents' plan until you're 25. You know, that's a good policy. I'm glad that pre-existing conditions, there's rules regarding that, preventing health insurance companies from denying you. But nonetheless, we still do have a lot of problems with people being underinsured. There's flaws, but it's an improvement and a step in the right direction. But I think we need Medicare for all. You know, that takes time. All right, Marcus Wayne says, Obama's 8 years of presidency was objectively a net positive. There were issues exacerbated by the extreme T. I would say, compared to the Republicans, Obama's presidency was absolutely a positive. 100%. Saucepan McGee says, great chat, brother. Have a great night, my friend. Thank you, Saucepan. Appreciate it. Obama's 8 years president was a net positive. Marcus, no doubt. I definitely voted for Kamala. I didn't think she was the best possible option, but yes, 100%. Bobby, I voted for Kamala, and you know what? There were certain policies that she was pushing that I was excited for, genuinely. When and Austin asked, what policy of Kamala's got your vote? For me, if she literally did nothing but continue the manufacturing policies of Joe Biden, I would be happy. If she did nothing but continue the union policies of Joe Biden, I would be happy. But she was promising to build 3 million new homes, and that is one of the fundamental parts for actually lowering housing policy. She was promising some small business loans, which are fine to me. But really, man, those homes things, building more homes, increasing supply is super important. There's an unknown caller. Listen, I'm about to end stream. Person that just called, I'm about to end stream. So I'm turning off the phone line for now. So yeah. Hold on. We had Bush before, and did we forget how the... did we somehow find those WMDs? No, we did not find those WMDs. Adam says, we don't need Medicare for all. The government can do a better job at managing... the healthcare. Go ahead, offer an option in the free market, see where it goes. So Adam, you're supporting a public option essentially. My only problem with the public option is its theory of change is that it'll force the price of goods to lower based on market forces. I just don't trust that. And also, you're not automatically in it. It's just another company. The other insurance companies could have better marketing than, say, the public option company. I'm not a big fan of that. I can agree on a multi-payer system where everybody's on the government healthcare plan by default, and if they choose to go to another service, they can do that. But ideally for me, I want single payer, because I think the insurance companies are, simply put, evil, vile, disgusting. You know what I'm saying? All right. Vincent says, as I said, I agree with the concept of Obamacare, but it was terribly implemented, enforced by government punishment. It was coercion caused by medical prices to skyrocket. Yeah, there were flaws with it. That's why I'm a Medicare for All guy. There was many things about her, yeah. Biden's policies staying straight were good, but she added some great ideas too. Yeah, I think the 3 million homes, man, that was a big one for me. Linda says, have a good night. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Vincent says, a level of demand that no price was too high for. Yep, that's the thing about healthcare. It is not one of these. There's a term for it. There's a term for something about healthcare prices, but it's essentially like if you had a chocolate bar, 2 chocolate bars, one was 100, one was $5, you would go with the one that was $5, but also $5 for a fucking chocolate bar is crazy, but that's just for this example. You would go with the cheaper one. But if the chocolate bar that was $100 cured cancer and someone had cancer, they're going to put $100 for that chocolate bar. Now, let's say they need that chocolate bar every month. They're going to put that money every month. They're going to go into debt. They're going to go get a loan because they need that motherfucking chocolate bar. And that's the thing about healthcare. That's the thing about healthcare is it's not something that you could just be like, yes, I would like the cheaper, more marketable thing. Because the insurance companies are all going to make their insurance expensive. They're all going to make ridiculous deductibles. They are a mob. You know what I'm saying? Adam says, if they are evil and vile, then a public option will show that. Let competition begin. Yeah, well, the thing is, look, I mean, I can settle with a multi-payer system where private insurance can still exist, but you're on the government plan by default from the moment that you're born, and you can choose to buy something else and get out of that plan. Public option is a bit more flawed. There's a bit more, what if it gets defunded by Congress? Let's say a Republican Congress or a Republican president becomes in charge after a Democratic puts it in and defunds the public option. I want a multi-payer system if we're to compromise. Ideally, a single-payer system. Green Wave for Christ says, what policies? Building 3 million new homes. I'm assuming you're asking what Kamala policies. It leaves too much competition, therefore corruption. True. Austin says, maybe we should worry about the nursing shortage and the quality of care before anything else. Little Homicide says, less government, bruh. What a simple solution. Yeah, you know what? Let's leave it more to private insurance. I think people are so happy with United Health, Let's just get... you know what? Why don't we just get less government and more United Health, all right? Come on. Bobby says, there's a bunch of them, and Kamala had way more. That's true. There was focus groups that found when people did not know the names of the candidate, but they just saw the list of the policies, 80% went with Kamala's. It's a problem with messaging that she had, that's for sure. Austin says government oversight in healthcare can only go wrong. Completely disagree. Steve says insurance is what you're mad about. $2 trillion save. What are you talking about? You think insurance companies are saving you money? If you think insurance companies are saving you money, you're a damn fool. I'm not going to lie. Naz says, stay tuned. A CEO experienced the Louis XIV syndrome. Yeah, that's true. Though I wonder if I were to share a theory here, part of me feels like his wife hired a hitman. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even know if it was like a people are angry situation. Now, people then celebrating the assassination afterwards, I think that's a showing that the people are very angry about healthcare. But I get the sense that the wife probably hired a hit because she did not seem that sad when he died. She actually said, like, in her statement, she was like, there were some threats, but he didn't change his travel plans. That almost, like, subtly sounds like she's blaming him for getting shot. And that makes me feel like, oh, it's a little cold for a widow. Austin, there's something we can agree on. Currently, government regulation is basically a legal corporation. Yep, Vincent has a good point. JW says, I live in Canada where healthcare is free. I went to the doctor the other day and waited to see the doctor 5 hours before my name was called. This is a typical visit in Canada. I don't know if that's a typical visit in Canada. That's your anecdote. But I can say this. There are people that wait for care in America and they don't get it because they're poor. There are people that have to turn to the emergency room to get care because they're poor. There are people without insurance, and there are people that are underinsured where they have insurance but they're going into medical debt. Medical debt in America is the #1 cause of bankruptcy. We have wait times. We just focus on the size of your wallet. But if you have the bigger wallet, you can get that shit fast as fuck in America. But that's not how healthcare should function. We should focus based on need. Bobby says, small government is great. Said no educated voter ever. True. Austin says, you can either have shitty, cheap healthcare or you can have expensive, good healthcare. You cannot have both. Austin, I'm sorry. That's dumb. That's dumb. We don't have the best healthcare in the world. We don't have the best outcomes in the world. There was like the Commonwealth Fund that looked into, they rated the healthcare systems. America's always at the bottom and we spend more money. We spend more money to get fucked in the ass. We don't have the best healthcare in America. People ration their insulin in America. And insulin's not the only drug. We spend more money on drugs. We spend more money on care. We have wait times here too. We just have the wallet biopsy. We don't go based on the need. We go based on the wallet. And you know what we need? Medicare for all. Bobby says, Austin, usually, but it doesn't need to be that way. I love my Mexican doctors over any in the U.S. Yes, there are Americans that go to Mexico for cheaper care. Because they can afford it. And you know what? They come out of those doctor's offices getting their dental procedure done, getting their eye procedure done. Because those doctors in Mexico still have to get an education. So if we are literally seeing Americans travel across the border on like in vacation visas or whatever, just to get health care. Vincent says, I have a good point on the insurance on affordability. I'll try to keep it short. Okay, Vincent's probably writing that out. Austin says, we are at the bottom because of a flawed system could be remedied. The conversation does not end with insurance. Take your blinders off. My blind? What are you talking about, man? Yes, it doesn't just end with insurance. But you talk to doctors and nurses and they complain about insurance. Because insurance is an unnecessary middleman. But if we have Medicare for all, where administrative cost is like 3% compared to private insurance is 15%, we would save money and we would save lives. There's enough research on this subject. We would save trillions of dollars if we had universal health care, and you would save tens of thousands of lives a year because people can go to the fucking doctor and people don't have to ration their medicine. Adam says, I'm going to Mexico next year for dental work. Exactly. JW says, a lot of Canadians travel to the States to receive stuff like cancer treatments because there's a lot of people end up on wait lists and that are years long. Also, I'm a nurse in a hospital. That's fine, JW. But there are people that cannot get the treatment that they need in America. There are examples of people, Saudi princes, coming to America because the most expensive money, if you have a lot of money you can spend, you can get great care here. But Americans don't have the money to spend. And if we're doing government, we should have a system which focuses on the majority. And if we want private insurance to exist, we can have that. It's called a multi-payer system. If we come to a middle ground, that's the only middle ground I'm willing to go to. We can have single payer, or we can have a multi-payer system where there is still private insurance options. But everybody is on the government plan from the moment that they're born. Josh says, yeah, our healthcare is so crappy. We have Canadians and a ton of others coming here for healthcare because their waiting list in their country is so insane. It takes months to get. We have a waiting list, brother. The waiting list is your wallet. If you're poor in America, you're fucked. So I've lived in poverty my entire life except for briefly. Effectively, you need $67,000 to afford just the basics: insurance, rent, and utility. Vincent said, and then, but any job that pays that much to provide insurance and requires skill or to do a more dangerous job, effectively, if you make below this amount, you are better off usually not working at all. You know, the thing is, Vincent, most people that earn money in America are making less than that by a lot. I think half of all workers are making less than $45,000 a year or $50,000 a year, which is insane. Insane. Naz says, healthcare for all, like France or Australia, anyone can buy a Cadillac plan. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. But I recognize the term Cadillac plan from like 2012. Dio Debrinzensi says, buy health insurance. I live in Canada. Healthcare is crap. ER room is a 6 to 8 hour wait minimum. Deportation. Like I said, in America, we ration our medicine. In America, some people don't even see a doctor. In America, people will use the emergency room as primary care because they can't afford regular primary care. Vincent says, I'm a disabled vet and my wife has this condition, CCHS, and is on dialysis. On the conservative side, her dialysis costs a minimum of $12 million a year. Whoa. So if I work, she loses her insurance. So that rules out any and all minimum wage jobs. So she has a social security insurance and I have VA and we're at minus $10,000 a year. This is what happens, folks. You need to go outside, everybody, and meet some people because everybody got some horror story when it comes to dealing with insurance. Talk to some doctors, and they hate dealing with insurance. They want to care for people. They don't want people to go broke. You had like Blue Cross Blue Shield talking about putting limits on anesthesia. And after a certain point, then you have to pay more. So doctors were going to be put in a position where like, holy shit, do I continue using the anesthesia after a certain point? Or do I have to take it off so I don't cost this person tens of thousands of dollars? Now, they reversed their decision. Some might say it's because they saw that United guy, something happened to him and they're now a little scared of doing it. I'm not sure, but it's crazy out here. Hold on, let me scroll up because I missed some messages. Austin said, I can go to the hospital right now and get seen. What do you want? My wallet's never been a factor. Austin, if your wallet's never been a factor about how when it comes to your experience with healthcare, you're probably not the type of person I'm trying to communicate with, okay? If someone can go to the hospital, go to the doctor, and you're like, here's the money, here's the cash. That's not the person that I think is concerned about the healthcare situation, okay? Josh says, I was broke for years and got free health care and from 20 and all the way to 29 years old. And when I got a job, that was not under the table. Bobby says, Josh, yep, I get Medicaid. It's not the best, but it works. Exactly. Adam says, you're not talking about the average American. You're talking about the lowest poor. Brother, you might be surprised, but the average American is not earning a lot. I can tell you that. And there's people with insurance that are underinsured. Josh says, I lived in Michigan and I got Medicaid from 28 to 29 while working under the table. Poor people can get care in the U.S. Stop with this crap. Yes, you can get Medicaid, but the moment you work not under the table and you want to move forward in life, there's going to be people that are unwilling to improve their situation because they know if they make more money and they lose their healthcare plan, it's not worth it for them. And that's not the system that we should be doing. We should not incentivize people to have to work under the table. There's a balance between making decent money, but it's not on the books. And yes, you can get money. Vincent, $10K a year is poverty for a single person. Unless you live rent-free, you would still be broke. Yup. My grandmother did dialysis 3 times a week for 8 hours a time, and it didn't cost $100K, Bobby says. Vincent says, this is what I mean about poor implementation, though. I agree with the welfare system, but there is almost no ladder out of it. If I use my GI or VRE, the wife loses her insurance. If I get a minimum wage job, she loses her insurance. I have to get a career out the box. That's so messed up. That's so insane. Do you guys not realize, like, the people that are against universal healthcare in the chat, there are literally people in this chat right now that can't even get a minimum wage job because if they get a minimum wage job, they will lose everything. Why do we put bullshit means testing on necessary services that incentivize people or disincentivize people from even getting minimum wage jobs? That's insanity. That's insanity, folks. Still a lot. I don't remember whoever is charging, making a big profit. Yeah, 12 million. Bobby, I am 10K under the poverty limit. My family makes $26,000 a year. Vincent says, yeah, no, I mean, listen, guys, look. Hold on. Let me get this data for you. Social Security Administration. They keep track of the wages. Google Docs. I have this written down somewhere. This very important piece of information to me. Doing research about the Social Security Administration. They were keeping tracks of the wages. We can look. Do they have 2024 yet? No, they have 2022. But in 2022, guys, 49% of wage earners. Can you guess how much they earned? Or how what under? 49% of wage earners earned under $40,000. 54% of wage earners earned under $45,000. Half of all Americans are making less than 40. Over half of all Americans are making less than 45,000. Now remember, within that group, there are people making 10 to 14,000, 15 to 19,000, 20 to 24,000. This is insanity, guys. This is insanity. And if we can't see that something's wrong with that, then we'd be insane. That's why I think politicians, they need to go out there and talk to people about the issues that matter to these people. They need to talk about the money these people are earning. They need to talk about the money their bosses are earning. Because back in the day, if the boss did well, you did well. And I think that that's a fair thing to have. I'm a capitalist, folks. I want people to make money. If you want to become a millionaire or a billionaire, if you can do it, go do it. But people got to have their health care. People, you got to be able to see their doctor. People should be able to reach for their goals and work hard without being burdened by the factor of their own health, by life or death situations, by the cost of medicine, that if they just had the medicine, if they just had the treatments, could let them live longer. It's a real simple formula. JW says a multi-payer system would be ideal. Those who can't afford it would be able to receive care. Those who can afford it can go to private clinics. You know what, JW? I'm glad we can come to an agreement. My ideal is single payer. But if there was negotiations, say we had a president that was pushing single payer, and in the negotiations they settle with multi-payer, I'm going to be happy because that's universal health care. That's good with me. That's good with me. I want a meritocracy, folks. Meritocracy, where if you work hard, you can succeed. That's it. And in order to have an equal starting line, we need to be able to have the basics fulfilled, and one of those basics is healthcare. Adam says, I want meritocracy too. That's why I'm a conservative, not a liberal. Adam, I got bad news for you, man. Every policy being pushed by the conservative politicians or whatever, if you push more Reaganomics, more trickle down, more neoliberalism, that does not make us closer to a meritocracy, I can tell you that. And we've seen it. We've seen it. We are not a meritocracy as it stands. Vincent says there's nothing for us to do in this exchange. That's as per the contract negotiated by the state or federal governments and the insurance companies and providers. Bobby says, I agree. Vincent, something is off. You should talk to someone that knows and wants to help you like an advocate. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on specific situations like that. There are much better people, more qualified than me to help out with that. I'm sorry, I can't really help much. I'm going to let y'all talk about that because, you know, shout out to Bobby. Bobby's out here trying to help out other people in the chat. That's a beautiful thing. You see, folks, that's what community can do, man. I'm not trying to say we have, like, the biggest community here on this channel, but it's a wonderful thing seeing somebody out here looking, trying to help someone's situation. That's beautiful. Austin says, interesting that no one is talking about my statement receiving Medicaid while earning $24 an hour. I didn't see your statement earlier, Austin. But we should just have it universal. No need to means test healthcare. Scotty says, anyone can go to the healthcare government website and buy insurance. Wow, anyone, Scotty? Anyone. That's real great. Vincent says, it's not the bill to us, it's the bill to the taxpayer. It's aggravating because I'd rather just be doing it myself. I'm fairly well versed on the regulations and requirements because my wife's life is literally depending on it. Yep. And as Vincent was saying, man, like, he has to be in the position that he's in where he can't even get a job, start a career, because his benefits that he gets from the VA and his benefits that his wife gets from Social Security, I believe, would be on the line. That's means testing, though. That's what happens when government decides, you know what, the people are children, and we need to make sure there's means testing because the people are too rowdy and they're not responsible like us in government. They're not responsible. I think the people are very much responsible. I think they're simply looking out based on their needs. And they probably know a lot better than somebody in government about what they need. Josh says, talk to the people in Canada with free healthcare, how they like it. Lamau, it's a joke. You know, Josh, I would encourage you to go move to Canada, run for office, and run on a platform of trying to adopt an American-style healthcare system because you're so bold. Go run on that. Tell me how it goes. Tell me how it goes, Josh. Because there have been studies looking into the popularity of specifically the Canadian healthcare. 74% of respondents in Canada rated the quality of their healthcare from excellent or very good compared to 11% of 65, or compared to the 11 country average of 65%. So yeah, I would talk to a Canadian, and I can guarantee you they rather have their fucking system than our fucking system. I can tell you that. Thank you for watching, Bobby. I appreciate your time. Stay safe, man. Vincent says, yes, it's punishing any attempts of self-improvement. It's not so hard for people who don't have unearned income. My VA disability pay, they can almost make 3 to 4K. Austin says, what about the healthcare workers that are overworked and overburdened already due to the nursing shortage that would then have to take on the wave of healthcare recipients with universal healthcare? It would collapse the system and destroy the pay scale of the worker. Maybe we could improve the pay. You know, maybe if so much of the money going into healthcare is no longer going to CEOs and corporate boards and lobbyists, maybe we can invest a little bit more in the workers. Maybe every nurse should be a member of a union. You know, there's ways to improve it. Bobby says we got to help our neighbors regardless where they are. We're all human. Anyway, I got to go. Thank you for watching, Bobby. Josh says, I have Canadian friends, and trust me, they'd rather pay the $200 a week than what they're paying in taxes now. Josh, I do not give a fuck about what your Canadian friends have to say. There's been research, there's been polling done about the popularity of the Canadian healthcare system, and I can tell you, they rather have Canadian healthcare than American healthcare. That's a fact. Improving the pay doesn't mean putting more people in college. JW says, that has changed a lot. Fucking, Austin, more Filipino nurses. We already do that. We've always had to get more nurses from around the world. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of people that have studied nursing around the world that want to come to America. Okay? Josh, yeah, they're paying for it. It's not free. Yes, they pay for it through taxes, and everybody there has health insurance. In America, we pay a dramatic amount. We pay the most for healthcare in terms of total raw number and per capita cost, meaning per person, and we get worse results. We get rationing of drugs. We get people dying because of lack of health insurance. 68,000 people die a year. Austin says, or JW says, that has changed a lot within a few years due to poor government policy. Our healthcare has fallen apart. The long wait times for minimum efforts. You know, maybe the health insurance, maybe the Canadian health insurance needs a bit more money. I guarantee you that the solution that most people want is not to adopt an American-style healthcare system, okay? That's for sure. Excuse me. Then where are they? Why can't we have American nurses? Austin, there's been a culture of nurses coming from around the world, particularly from places like the Philippines, to become part of our healthcare industry. We can have American nurses, but as you said, there are people that need to study and become nurses. There's a process, and it takes time. If we have gaps in the market, we need to fill those gaps as soon as possible. So we fill that, yes, with immigrants. We have this system set up for a century since we colonized the Philippines. And there's other nurses from around the world that would come here. But we should have universal public college so people can go and study nursing and other industries and become productive members of those industries. Josh, I don't care what some Canadians in a YouTube chat have to say. There's research on the subject matter. You don't make policy decisions or policy prescriptions based on some people in YouTube chat. Scotty says, I've heard of people waiting a year for a simple MRI in Canada. Yeah, I heard about 68,000 people dying every single year in America because of lack of health insurance. Josh says, no healthcare system is perfect, but they could be better. Yep, that's correct, Josh. Austin says, so let's create American jobs and not outsource them. Austin, if there is a shortage of nurses, let's do an all-in approach. Let's have immigrants come like we've been doing for a century. And let's do free public college so people can study these fields and become part of these fields. Adam says, Filipino come here to work in the healthcare system, not theirs because of the pay. Exactly. We obviously pay better here than the Philippines. Invisible Man says something in Spanish. Let me translate that. And then this is going to be the last thing I do before I dip. People have to share rooms with strangers in hospitals, only a piece of cloth to separate people. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, huh? That's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild fact. Austin says, we need to create more jobs for Americans. Yes, Austin, we do need more American jobs. Duh. But if Americans are not filling it, we need people to fill it. Okay? We can have more American nurses. We have people studying to become nurses in America today. If we have free public college, we will still have Americans studying to become nurses. But if there are people that then need to immigrate here to fill in the gap, then it is what it is. Austin, I'm not doing any more call-ins because I'm going to leave soon. Josh says, well, this study says, this research says, who cares? Listen to people. Josh! Do you genuinely base policy off some comments in YouTube chat or research? Adam says, I will agree with you, free public college, but only for certain degrees. I mean, that's a fair perspective, I think, just across the board. Again, we've seen the issue with limitations instead of universality, and universality keeps things simple, keeps things direct, and has better results. When you have means testing and limitations to this, limitations for that, you create a complicated system unnecessarily. Josh Tucker says, free, you get a free phone, you get a free hotel, you get free healthcare, let's make Oprah free. You know, Josh, I think there's something a little bit different from a free phone and free hotel than healthcare. I think one saves lives, and another thing is a convenient product, right? Adam says we don't need a ton of money paying for basket weaving of the. Adams, just to be clear, universal college, free college, would be like about $40-something billion. That is a fraction of what our government pays into things like creating bombs and creating fighter jets and creating Navy ships and bombing other countries. It's a fraction of our military budget. Close a couple bases. We don't even need to raise taxes. We can do a small tax on Wall Street speculation in the decimal points, and we can get that money. Yes, I'm fine with people studying literature. Why not? We don't ask what people are going to study when they go through K-12 education. We don't have to ask what people study when they go through college. But we are definitely going to see more people trying to become nurses and other more essential industries. if they are simply given the access to. But it's fine to have the perspective you have. I'm glad we can agree that we should have free public college, though. Scotty says, our healthcare system survives because people are working and paying for it. People will not want to pay more taxes for people who are too lazy to work and pay for their own healthcare. Scotty, we had an example of someone in this chat in a situation where they cannot work. Otherwise, they will lose their VA benefits, and the wife's Social Security benefits are at risk because we put means testing. Our means testing has discouraged work, has discouraged self-improvement. If we have universal shit, you can just be sure, yeah, if I get sick, I can go to the doctor. That's not going to discourage you from working. That's not going to discourage you from taking a risk, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a creator, doing something with your life, following a passion. You're not going to lose that because you have access to see a doctor. JW says we still have people in Canada who go without care because they can't find an available doctor or the drugs aren't available. Also, you still pay for the drugs hundreds a month. Yeah, well, you know, if the drug prices in Canada are bad, you should look at the drug prices in America. It's pretty crazy. All right, folks. I'm going to finish off now. There's a insert ad button. I don't know what that does. Tell me, guys, did you guys just see an ad? I don't know if you guys will see the ad because I think a lot of you guys are seeing this on the YouTube Shorts feed. But hopefully I make money from that. That'd be cool. Anyway. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds or so. Just to make sure people that saw the ad can see the ad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30. All right. I will see you guys later. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.